Second, 2 out, Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series. Open, Chicago with the lead. Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
Under it, and to the middle with the 15, to the 20, breaks free of the 25, to the 30, to the outside, 40, midfield, 40, 30 to the coast, 20, 15, Hester 5, touchdown Bears!
It's 1 goal indeed. The Chicago Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup. A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it for Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Blackhawks win the World Series.
What up? What up? What up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this Hump Day edition. I'm your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. And if you're not watching it, not following us on Facebook, what? All right, go to Facebook, type in Sports Zone Chicago, click the like button. Now you're following Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook. But wait, not so fast, my friends. While you're there, do us a favor. Go to the show's page. Go to Shawn and Maya in the morning. Go to that Facebook page as well. Okay, and you can like the show's page as well. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, excellent. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, for real, come on, listen. Go to YouTube, type in Sports Zone Chicago, click the subscribe button. Okay, and then once you do that, click the bell. There's a little bell. That's the notification button. So anytime a show from Sports Zone Chicago goes live, guess what? You get notified. All right, if you're watching this on our mobile app, I like that kind of party, baby. Listen, and if you don't know, now you know. Listen, we have a mobile app. We can take us with you on the go. So here's what you do. You go to wherever you get your apps from, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Walmart, Kmart, 7-Eleven, Zaire, Zemsky, Venture. Okay, wherever you get your apps from, you go there, you type in Sports Zone Chicago, you download it, you take us with you on the go. Not only do you get Shawn and Maya in the morning, 3 days a week, not only do you get our other live shows throughout the week, but not only are they archived there like they are on Facebook and YouTube, but I'll tell you what, we give you a slew, and I mean a slew of articles, thanks to my man, Clarence Council III. Big ups to Clarence for keeping you abreast of all articles Chicago sports related. And if you're watching this on a Roku channel, yay, that's what I'm talking about, baby. Now you know what's up. Listen, if you didn't know, you better ask somebody. We have our own Roku channel, okay? If you have a Roku device in the house, do us a favor, download the Sports Zone Chicago tile. Okay, listen, don't act new. Don't act like you don't even know. All right, you've already downloaded Stars for Power Book 2, Season 3 with Tariq, Method Man, and Mary. I know you did that. You did Paramount Plus because you're watching Yellowstone. You downloaded Showtime because you want to watch Billions. I know. Okay, but just do us a favor. Download Sports Zone Chicago's tile. Put it right there, smack dab in the middle of all of them. You can watch us live where we are right now. Right freaking now, we're there. Just playing. And or on demand, you can check us out there as well. Listen, you can also tweet the show. You can tweet us at Sports Zone Shy. That's CHI at Sports Zone Shy. And if you want to follow me, just me personally online, you want to know what I did? Well, let me tell you what I did. You want to know what I did? Well, here's what I did. I made it nice and easy for you folks. Nice and easy. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the Snapper, and TikTok. Yeah, I know I'm a TikToker. Don't laugh at me. I'm a TikToker. All one handle. You see it at the bottom of the screen at the Shawn Sierra. Man, what day is today? Oh, it's Hump Day. You know what that means. You know what that means. My partner in crime who just had a birthday, Maya Kai. What up?
That music is like so appropriate now with my age. It's like, yeah.
No twerking, just nice and smooth, swaying back and forth.
I've officially crossed over that threshold where it's working really I shouldn't be doing anymore. So yes, that music is so appropriate now. No more. The knees will not tolerate it. So it's done.
How you doing? How you been?
Well, how are you?
I am good. If I got a little horse in my little frog in my throat, so I got some tea I'll be sipping on throughout the show. But I'm good to
It's
go. I'm ready to go. I'm a
it's
gamer. I'm a gamer,
it's the
baby. I'm a
weather.
gamer.
It's the weather. See, this good weather. People get excited. Don't put on coats. I saw somebody in shorts the other day. I'm like, come on. Like I know it's nice outside, but it's not that nice outside.
I
But
went to the flea market Sunday, and sure enough, I saw a dude in shorts. I'm like, really, bro? I'm like, first and foremost, I was telling Steve this is first and foremost as a Mexican dude. I'm like, if you're gonna wear shorts, put some lotion on your damn legs, fool. Your ashy ass. Come on, man. And he
that's
was a darker skinned Mexican too, so you can
so
see the
you really could tell he was like ashy. You're like, come on, dude.
ashy.
I don't know. The thing is, I know if I see that you have ashy, legs, arms, whatever, I know that you know it too. I don't know why people are okay looking like that. And first of all, it's not even comfortable.
Man, I don't even know. I just looked at him and I was just like, really, bro? Really? Not that you're trying to impress people, but at least have some decorum about you. Like, like just don't go out all
How about
disheveled
we
and shit.
just
You know
have
what I mean?
appropriate hygiene at a certain point in time? Put on some lotion. Clearly, I'm assuming you washed your ass. So with that being said, put some lotion on in the follow up. I'm sure you put deodorant on. So just put it as part of the whole process of what you do when you get ready in the morning.
Guilty as-
You don't use lotion? Oh my goodness. You
So,
serious?
Fiordi, you don't use lotion at all, or you just forget sometimes, or what do you mean? 'Cause
Guilty as charged. What does that mean?
listen, you have to understand. You must people of a different persuasion they don't use lotion like people of color. All right, it's I have never grown up not seeing anyone in my family use lotion and not having like 15 bottles in and around the house. You have I have one ashy knee.
Yeah, it's like, cocoa butter. Back in the day, thank God they've graduated past that. It was Vaseline.
Vaseline.
Yeah, thank God. We moved past that. Well, now Vaseline makes lotion too now. So, but yeah, it's just it's a standard. And if you struggle with this, then they have things for people like you. They have the in shower lotions, so you can just put it on in the shower, rinse it off, and get out, and you should be good. And if you aren't, then because some people are just they have very dry skin. Just lose lotion. Come on, the ladies will
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So when I was at the flea market,
There
this
you
is what I
go.
got.
Yep, Nivea. There you go.
Nivea. This was only $10. So
That's pretty good in the store. That's probably closer to almost like 15.
yeah, that's why I shop at Lagarra at the flea market. So and this one's for dry to very dry skin. Now I don't have dry skin, okay, but because I've been using Nivea for so long, and lotion for like my skin, like that's why do you think people of color look so young for so long?
Well,
All right.
we moisturize, but it's also the melanin,
Oh, that's true. That's true.
It does help. But we moisturize. We moisturize. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's important. So make
You
sure
ever
you
seen one of that
lotion
baby
on your
like
legs.
crazy?
Because you know what? There's nothing like, and I know this sounds a little weird, and we'll get to sports today. I promise we will. But there's nothing like something like, oh my God, you have really soft
This is
skin.
good. This is true. This is true. Yes. Mom used to have it shining like a new penny. Exactly.
Come here, boy. Come here, boy.
Like, man, they grabbed you in the face and they were like putting it in. You're like, okay.
Right before you walk out the door, like, here you go, boy. Come on, come here, come here.
Yes, this would be true. This I totally understand it. You did not, as a child, you did not walk out the house, Ashley. You did not. If you choose to do that in your grown man stage, that's on you. But as a kid, I know mom lathered you up.
Junior, tons of
Right?
older sisters in the house. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Oh man. You know what? This is taking it back. His grandmother and aunts used to have ponds. That's awesome.
Yes. Yes. Still good, by the way. Pond is still good. And they've upgraded themselves a little bit. So, yes. All right.
Hey, well, listen, we'd be remiss if we didn't bring him out. He's the man who keeps everything running smoothly. What's wrong with you? Don't you know I'm on the show? He's the man that makes everything run smoothly back there. He said, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. He's our man, our producer, Steve Weekly. Steve, what's up, Papa? How are you?
Don't hang up on me. I was calling. A very important message about your car's extended warranty.
Let's see those
doing
elbows,
good.
Steve. Let's see those elbows.
Oh, see, yeah, I'm a little white guy. We don't get ashy.
I was gonna say from this angle, you
No,
look pretty good. Okay.
no, we don't generally get ashy. We get dry. It's just dry.
Just try. Okay.
Yes,
Well,
and if you're dry enough, it takes care of itself because it'll just flake and fall right off. It's no problem. Nice and pink underneath, like a newborn baby's butt. Can't beat it. That's why white folk don't lotion, because it just falls off. We're like snakes. We just shed the skin.
Careful when you say these things. Careful when you say these things.
please.
I realize.
But that's also why they look, 50 when they're 27.
true.
Because yes,
Because I mean, I'm only 13. I mean, it's hard to believe. I picked it up early. So
I see. We see. Well, anyway, great stuff, buddy.
thanks.
Hey, we have a phenomenal show, but we need you to get interactive. And man, we got people on the text line already. Man, let's see who we got here. Cornelius Squalls, what up, baby? Mr. Ciordi, he's down in Florida. What's up? Mr. Shawn Walls in the Mickey Ficky house. And my man, Armando Emeterio Lara Jr. And you know what? If he's watching, then he's watching with his road dog, Armando Emeterio Lara the fourth, his grandson. So if he is Dito, good morning, mijo. Good morning. He says, when I say good morning to him, he smiles and laughs. And he loves it. I'm like, awesome. Oh, and also his other. So Junior has another. He's a grandfather again. So he had just had his daughter had another son,
Okay.
like his son, and that's Jeremiah. So Jeremiah's watching as well. So JoJo and Jeremiah.
Nice.
That's the JoJo story. I'll tell you the JoJo story later. It's hilarious. It is hilarious. Sean Wall's in the house. Matthew Lucas in the house. Listen, we have. Man, Mr. Smokefella himself is watching us. Good morning, Bernard. How you doing, Papa? Hasem in the morning. Good morning, Papa. You know what? Great stuff. And I'll tell you what, we will have more of the usual suspects checking in throughout the show. But whatever platform you're watching us on, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whether it's our mobile app, you can't do it with your Roku, but that's okay. Just have us on both devices. Leave a question or comment on that particular platform. If you do, it'll come up here. Either I will do it, or my lovely co-host will do it, or my super producer Steve will get it up there. We'll put it on the screen. All right, we'll incorporate it into the show, and that's what makes this show the best morning show in the city, in the Chicagoland area. The best. All right, is your questions, your participation, your questions, your comments. Bring it all. We want all that smoke, all the questions, comments, smart ass remarks. Just bring them, and let's talk about them because we don't shy away from anything over here. We love keeping it real, and I think that's why you like us because of that. So great stuff. We have a phenomenal show, baby. Phenomenal, man. It was so crazy. Man, all day yesterday, I got a lot of people. You know, Maya, we really, so next season, I think we're going to have to go to Vegas for the Super Bowl. We're going to have to sit in radio. We'll be in Radio Row, like a couple of other people. And I saw a lot more people down there than I anticipated. So, I mean, we don't have to go for the game or stay for the game because tickets will be through the roof, or unless we get media passes. But anyway, I think Radio Row would be pretty cool. So I think we should head down to Vegas. It's not like you and I don't like Vegas.
You can't go wrong in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless you're like what was the name of the movie? Unless you're like The Hangover, then that kind of went wrong.
Well, yeah. Okay. Have you been drinking already? So I said go to Vegas to watch the Bears in the Super Bowl.
No, see, already they won't be there next year. All right. So 2020 in 2025 is when we can really legitimately start anticipating the Bears getting deep in the playoffs. 2025. 23, I think 24 we have a chance to get to the NFC Championship game. We might get there. That's a good, but I think it's really 2025 is the best. Because at that point, look at 85. 1980, the 85 Bears who went ham and destroyed everybody, still the best football team and best defense that ever lived. Okay. Their best draft came in 83. Their best draft came in 1983, where they picked up so many of the stars on that defense. Not just the defense, on the team. And so, give it about the same. And we'll definitely have here. Who do we have? Let's go through some of the names of the people in that 85. Yeah, here we go. Here's some of the names in the 83 draft that led to the 80. Remember, they played the 83 season, 84 season. And so that the next one, they're ready to roll. Where's the list? Give me the list, darn it. Here we go. Jimbo Covert. All right. Offensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. You remember he blocked for Dan Marino at Miami. Willie Gault. Speedster out of Tennessee. Mike Richardson. Cornerback out of Arizona State. Dave Dewerson. Safety out of Notre Dame. Tom Thayer. Guard out of Notre Dame. Pat Dunsmore. Tight end from Drake. Richard, how do you pronounce that? Dent? Oh, yeah. He was pretty good. Yeah. He was an eighth round pick out of Tennessee State. Mark Bortz, a guard out of where did he go to school, Maya? Oh, Iowa. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Mark Zavagnin. So look at that. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the first 8 players in that draft were instrumental and all were starters on that 85 team. So
yeah,
I think it'll be important that this draft is huge for us.
Okay.
For the Bears.
Here's the problem, though. I totally get your point. We probably lightning doesn't strike twice like that. You can have a draft that's amazing, that can lead to getting that many amazing players. So this all can't be about the draft. It's going to be a whole lot of other things that have to come into play. I'm not saying you can't get some players, but I'm just saying that was just a very uncanny thing to happen, that many players came out that were, and look how good they really were. I don't see that happening. Not like in this draft. I mean, there's some pieces there, but I don't think it's enough to make them Super Bowl contenders. But
well, I think it's not just this draft. I think this draft and next year's drafts are going to be huge because if Ryan Poles is able to trade down once or twice in the first round, you know, the scenario he trades with Houston, he'll get a first round pick from Houston, and then if he trades with Indy, he can get another first round pick next year from Indy. That'll give him 3 first round picks for next season. Obviously, one being our own. I think it can make a big noise. I would say this is the most important draft class for the Chicago Bears, and then next year could be the second most important because at that point look where we're at. We're at the top of every round. Okay, we're except for the second because we traded that for Chase Claypool. But in the 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, we're number 1. We are the first pick in each particular round, so we have the pick of the litter going into the rounds. So we definitely should be able to take advantage of it. And look what he did. Look what Ryan Poles did last year. All right, he had no draft capital, he had no first round pick, and his ability to maneuver that into parlay that into crazy picks that he had, amazing, and get 4 starters out of it. That's the 4 starters out of that. And I don't care how you feel about Braxton Jones, whether you like him or not, and that's cool either way. But you get 4 starters out of that draft when you had no first round pick. I'm anxious to see what he's going to do when he has a first round pick, when he has draft capital. So I am really excited to see what he can do, Ryan Poles, that is, because it's going to be pretty exciting. What he does is going to be pretty darn exciting for the Bears this year and moving forward.
I hope it is for your sake that it's exciting.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Minnesota Vikings. Oh, you got to be happy. Little Brian Flores over there. The Bears, Minnesota. Well, we'll talk about that later. But the Minnesota Vikings have a new defensive coordinator, and so that'll be pretty interesting. I think he's a very good defensive coordinator, which I'm not too happy he's in the division, but nonetheless, I'm happy he's back in the NFL. But man, like I said, we have an awesome show. 10 o'clock, we have our guy Fred Pfeiffer, co-host of the Big Red Bus and from ChicagoBullseye.com, talking Bulls basketball. I was leery about yesterday's game because no DeMar. Memphis had lost 7 of their last 8. I was concerned. I was definitely concerned. So we're going to talk to Fred about that at 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, our man Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast.
Lauren, all right.
Yeah, it's our guy. So he's going to call. We're going to talk a little Senior Bowl, how that went, who he's hearing, and then draft scenarios as well. Cornelius, you are right. You are really. There's a lot of talent in areas where the Bears need help. I agree, especially at edge rusher. I think there's a deep pool at edge rusher, and that's going to be a spot that the Bears need. So if we don't get to Will Anderson, I'm okay with it. All right, because there are more than enough other talented players. And again, you have to remember, you have to get guys that fit. Okay, you have to fit the scheme, because if you do, you might get a guy that fits the scheme, but it may be the 3rd or best 4th defensive end out there, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But if he fits the scheme, that's what's best for us. And I truly hope, and I would assume that Ryan Poles understands this and is going to draft accordingly. And I'm telling you, it's going to be fun. I am excited about the draft. It's going to be awesome. So Lauren Cox at 11 o'clock. It is going to be one hell of a show. And as how did Ed Sullivan say? We're going to have a really big shoe, really big. To all my Ed Sullivan fans who
Like someone's like, who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who?
Is he part owner of the Bears? Nobody's old enough he could have been if he was still alive.
Yes.
But guys, you know how we do the first segment of every show. It's called Top of the Morning.
It won't come just when you want it.
Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
Well, the first top of the morning topic, we talked about it already. The Bulls. The Bulls fall to the Memphis Grizzlies yesterday on Beale Street. Actually, I don't think they're in Beale Street. The Memphis Grizzlies 104-89. Vooch led the way. Vooch is on fire. Let me tell you, it's going to be a difficult decision coming up by tomorrow, the trade deadline. Vooch, 28-17, 28 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists. What a game by Vooch. And the Bulls were without DeMar DeRozan, who was out with a hip injury. Zach LaVine contributed 24 and 5. Io, he dropped 14, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. This is it was frustrating. Ja Morant led the way for Memphis with 34 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. And Ja had his own drama over the last couple of days where did you hear about that, Maya? So, you're getting all thuggish. And for whatever reason, Ja Morant wants to be a thug. Okay. And I saw something on Facebook. I should have saved it and sent it to Steve to play it. It was freaking hilarious. They got a picture like, it's okay if you're born in the suburbs. It's okay if you come from a 2-parent home. It's okay, but for whatever reason, a lot of kids in the burbs want to adopt that. I want street cred. All right, they want to be hard. They want to be hood.
They want to be about that life.
Yeah,
be about that life.
They want to be about that life, and they're not. It's okay. It's okay. And trust me, you would much rather have your children coming from a 2-parent home in the suburbs in the middle to upper middle class environment than you would living in the hood.
It's what they're being packaged and sold, that this is cool to be this. It's not cool to be that. Well, that's just reverse psychology, ultimately, if you pay attention to it. But this is what kids are sold. I mean, everything they see, it's about being about that life, being thuggish. Like it's a thing. It's a way of life. See, the difference is when that was sold to people within our generation, we understood that.
Yeah.
We got it. Now they internalize it and think they're supposed to emulate what they see. So
it's
who wants to be
you're not a thug, homie. You're a great basketball player. You're definitely not a thug.
No,
you can shave your eyebrows in a couple different places all you want, bro. You can come to the arena in sweat in baggy clothes or whatever. And we wore baggy clothes too. Don't trip. That was us back in the day.
Right.
But you're not thug. If you're not from that area, you're not from that area. Just embrace it.
He's got little colored braids in his hair. Doesn't that kind of dismiss the thug part, like right there? Like, dude, you got color in your hair.
Yeah,
it kind of knocks your street cred just down it a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, and he just don't have that look.
Did you ever wear your pants?
Actually, no one ever saw my underoos except my mom when she went to beat my ass. So no, no one ever saw, or my grandmother. They pulled them out. Get over here, boy.
that within itself is something that I don't understand, because it looks like people can barely walk when their pants are like literally like around
underneath their butt cheeks.
Yeah, I'm like,
it's on their hamstrings.
And you do know that the story behind why that is like that. I don't know if people know it. As it was told to me, is that that was a signifier in prison that you were available. that
But
you
they,
were
but they, they,
interested.
they think it's cool. You know, they're like, oh, well, it's
No,
cool.
but if you knew
It's
that,
thug life.
people might pull their pants up like, whoa, yeah, I'm not trying to send that message that,
No, I'm
I'm
a thug.
available for, that type of action.
I'm a thug. I'm a thug. I wear my pants down around my hamstrings.
It looks really
Yeah.
stupid. It really does, but okay.
Brandon knows. Brandon,
Yes.
be nice. He's coming
Yes,
from the
I was
left
being
coast.
nice. I was being nice. Yes, you are available in jail. Yes. I mean, so
Yeah,
yes, easy access. Yes, you don't have
Brandon.
to
He's
fight for
called.
this. You don't have to fight for this. It's available. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, Brandon. He's calling. He's coming on. He's joining us from the left coast, out in the Bay Area. What's up, buddy? How good? Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, this Bulls team was. It was a tough one yesterday. I thought they had it. They came back and they were down.
Mhm.
They were up. It was a good game back and forth. I was a little annoyed because, like I said, Memphis had lost 7 of the 8 going into the game, and then once I heard yesterday during the day that DeMar DeRozan was out, that gave me a lot of reservation. I should say, not even a lot of reservation
Mhm.
about going into this game. But Vooch showed out. I think the biggest thing was the turnovers. They had 18 turnovers.
Yes, the turnovers were huge for them.
Just can't do that. That's not good formula for winning. Let me see, team turnovers. They had 13, and the Bulls had 18. The Sumo 4, Drummond 4, Caruso. See, did you see the game before the day before
Yes.
when Drummond went ham?
Yes.
When he was just going nuts. See, I get it now. Like with Drummond, you have to feed him. Like you got to play him consistently first and foremost. But you can't let him get too ahead of himself.
Yes, and he got ahead of himself yesterday.
Yes, he did. Like he's trying to fake and go between
Yeah,
legs
I
and
was
bounces
like,
off
what
his
is he-
knee. I'm
what is
like,
he doing?
dude, you don't have handles.
I saw that
You
too.
don't have
I was like, I
handles.
think he's confused. I'm not sure which tape he watched, but yeah, he got ahead. I knew you were going to bring that up because it looked awkward and out of place, and it didn't work. By the way,
Yeah, it didn't. But it was frustrating. But I'll tell you what, until this, well, that'll lead right into the next top of the morning topic before we go to break, and that's the trade deadline is tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central. So adjust time to your time zone, 2 p.m. Central. And according to Casey Johnson, who's on the pulse, he covers the Bulls for NBC Sports Chicago. According to Casey Johnson, the Bulls are going to stand pat. They are not going to trade anyone. I'm wondering if they're going to buy, if they're going to be buyers and bring someone else in. But
why?
Because I think we're one good point guard away from being a serious contender to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think we'll get there, and I think that would be our absolute ceiling. But maybe get to the second round. I just don't think that because Lonzo Ball's absence, Maya, we don't have a leader.
Right, that's a huge part. Well, absolutely, DeMar's a leader, but his absence is a huge impact, and this is why I would understand they won't move anything, because this was definitely that season that you needed to see some progress with, like Kobe White. You needed to see something, and you did. He took that big step forward. Patrick Williams is starting to kick it in. You're seeing more of what you knew he could do. Io is that development piece is there. So I could see them not changing anything, but you're right. They still need, even if Ball is back, I still feel like they need another piece, because when you look at, I still don't feel there's an impact player, because when I look at that, Donovan Mitchell can go to the Cavaliers and boom, look at that magic. Look at that.
Yeah.
We don't have that impact. I still don't feel there's an impact player. That guy who steps on the floor and it's happening. And the problem is I don't know where you get that from and how does that fit in, because allegedly they keep trying to convince us that Zach is that guy, and I just don't buy it. That's me.
You, me, and a lot of other Bulls Nation don't buy that bullshit either, Maya. I'm sorry. You could pay him $215 million. It don't mean you're the guy.
Exactly.
And I will tell you this. I will say this though. Recently, he has been more aggressive.
Yes.
Recently, he has been asserting himself more, which I like. Okay.
Yes.
But I just don't think it's in his DNA. You don't see that dog in him. When things are going well, yes, he can go into assassin mode. But when they need him, when things are close or they're down and they need a big bucket, he's not the guy you go to. He's not the guy you call. And that, to me, that's the issue. That's the biggest difference between a real assassin and a pseudo assassin like Zach. When you need a bucket,
that's funny. Yes, that would be.
You just stop the run.
Yes, that would
Right?
be the
There's a 13-0 run on the other team, and we need a bucket. I ain't going to Zach. I'm going to
that's what
DeMar.
I'm saying. It's like and for that kind of money, if he's not that guy, you got to figure out where that person is, because it's just not him. He's a 2. He's not a 1, and he'll never be 1. I mean, he just doesn't thrive that way. And even when you see those flashes of really good basketball with him, it's still not solid enough to feel like this is it. If we get this game, if you get that game every night, but you're not going to get that game every night is the problem.
You know what, Maya? I think that's probably the best way to put it. You're not going to get it every night, and he can do it. We've seen it. We saw that defense 2 games ago. Okay,
and if you're not going to get it every night, what's the point?
You only play 82 times a year. I mean, what the hell's wrong? No, that's a whole nother story, Maya. You not coming out, give me effort defensively. Come on, man. Every night you play 82 times. You travel first class. You stay in 5-star hotels. The recovering technology today is as best as it's ever been, and you can't give me that effort 82 times in a season. Come on, man. I don't get it. And I'll go back to this thing before we go to break. The reason I love the Michaels, the Kobe's, the Magics, is because they have this mentality. Allen Iverson, another one.
Mm-hmm.
It was, what if somebody could only afford to come to this game? What if they saved only to come to this game to see me play? You have to give them a show. And then, now you have load management. Now you have, I'm tired. No. When Michael was with that other team that he played for, I'm not even going to mention it. All right. He was 40 years old. He played 82 games at 40.
We do know the work ethic is quite different. So
Quite. Quite. Well, listen, let's take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we'll have more top of the morning topics. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
It's a romance sport. What? It's a romance sport. Yeah. It's a romance sport. Yeah, it's a romance sport like that. This one
I'm Jessica Rosenworcel, the chairwoman of the Federal Communications Commission. Every 11 minutes, someone in the United States loses their life to suicide. All across our country, people are hurting and they need help. The good news is getting that help just got a lot easier. Effective immediately, if you call or text 988, you will be connected to the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. There, professional support is available for anyone with a mental health emergency. The new 988 Lifeline is free, it's confidential, and it's available 24/7. It's also a game changer for mental health in the United States. Like 911, establishing a universally known number for suicide prevention will increase awareness of these issues and decrease the stigma surrounding mental health. So I have a message for anyone out there who might feel like you need help and you've got nowhere left to turn. You're not alone. It's not too late. Dial 988.
60 now to the line. One by enemy compound. Elevation 4703 feet. Push immediate.
Anything in that building is a target.
Copy that. Cleared hot, cleared hot. Be a type 1 control bomb on target. There, that's all I needed. Copy that.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Shawn and Maya in the morning.
6. Williams steps in for the jumper.
Yeah, they come out and play hard, man. They're, having Michelle Beto on my podcast last night talking about Pop really enjoying nice rebound.
Yep. Tell Zach's kind of feeling it right now. Williams feeling it too.
Oh, and he's feeling it all the way to the rim. Learns how to play the game. Picks up some tricks.
Levine, no. Drummond's there.
Oh, Mr.
Drummond. Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. Those clips courtesy of NBC Sports Chicago. Those clips of 2 days ago where the Bulls were on fire, beating the San Antonio Spurs. And Mr. Drummond himself, there was no Arnold or Willis or Kimberly there, but he was doing work down to the paint. And it was
where he belongs. So stay away from the top of the key. Please do not think you have handles. Do what they pay you to do. That I'm like, he's having a Vooch moment before Vooch realized what he was supposed to be doing. He was doing wrong stuff. I thought it was funny. It didn't even look right.
Yeah, like he needs to look, dude, stay over there. You know, only time we need you to come up there for a high screen so you can screen and roll and they can toss you the alley-oop. That's it.
That's it.
Come screen roll.
There, put the ball on the floor and dribble anywhere. That's not your role. No, your role, jabroni.
And shut your mouth.
It was funny though. I laughed. I was like, "What?" And then it didn't turn out well. That was the thing. It just looked really like second grade basketball. It was weird. He looked awkward.
He did. He looked very awkward trying to act like he had handles and put it on the floor like, nah, homie.
Yeah, like he was literally like bending. I'm like, dude, you're tall. What are you doing? You're not fluid like that. You know, you don't have that ability. You know, only really like players that, you know, are 7-footers that have really, let's say, excellent handles. Those are like few and far between. I mean, that's why Laurie Marketing is so good because he really has exceptional ball handling skills for his height, but he's also lankier and he plays Euroball. So they are taught to be ball handlers from day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not you, Drummond.
Yeah, definitely not. Drummond is he's a throwback where he's a dude in the post. He's an elephant in the china shop.
If you could really get him to up his game, and I'm saying he could never be this good, but he could be within, let's say, the circle of, if you could get him to play like Karl Malone, because he's got that body style, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
He could be a major asset if you could just get his game a little bit more to that direction of that type of player.
If you fine-tuned his game, give him a couple of post moves.
Yes.
Because of his body, his size, his width. Like he hits
Karl Malone-ish. Yes. Yeah. I can see it.
Yeah, just give him a little shoulder, boom, go up. And the thing I like about it is that he's nasty. Like he's not a lay it in kind of guy. And that's why he screwed up yesterday when he tried to Euro step and lay it in. It's not a Euro step, like, oh, and then air ball. I'm like, dude, go Euro step and dunk it. All right.
Don't even Euro step. Just be old school. Don't even buy into the Euro step. Okay.
This is true. Because you know what? I'd be cool. I'd be okay with it, Maya, if he got called for charging. Okay, and just ran a dude over, sliding into the back, the moorings.
I'm watching the Sixers Knicks game, you know, because I love me some Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And the guy was getting mad because he's like, he's putting his elbow in my face. It's like, well, do you see how tall it is? And when he pulls up, his elbow just happens to go that direction. I'm sorry, your face is there, but move it if you don't want his elbow in your face. And the guy was tall. I was like, what are you whining about? Joel Embiid does not, when he goes to the hoop, he goes. And if you're in the way, you go as a consequence. And so move. I would like to see that kind of aggressiveness more from Drummond. And I think you could get it from him. You said it earlier. He needs the consistent play to build that rhythm, to kind of get into that sync of being in the post like that. And I think they could get more from him. But I understand there has to be some adjustments made to line up with injuries and things of that nature. But I think he could be more serviceable than what he is.
Hell yeah. And that's the thing. And I asked guys, and we're gonna talk to Fred today at the top of the hour. Why isn't he getting you? The dude had tons of rebounds yesterday. I mean, he only played like 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and still had 10 rebounds again. Like, that's got to stop. Like, that lack of playing time has to stop. He played 12 minutes yesterday. All right, 12 minutes, he had 6 rebounds. All right. That's still phenomenal. A rebound every 2 minutes. That's actually poor for him. This dude is a rebounding machine. So what the issue is, I don't know. All right. And are they planning to move him by tomorrow's trade deadline? I don't know. But there's times where he could have been a big help.
Mhm.
All right. There's times he could have been. I mean, how many of the 50-50 balls have we lost because we didn't have size?
Exactly.
Right? When we're playing against the Milwaukees, the Phillies, the Brooklyns, those teams with height and length.
Mhm.
Dude, that now you got to do with girth and size. Like, get your little skinny ass out of here and jump and get the ball. And I love it. Like, he gets grown man rebounds.
Yeah, he does.
You know what I mean? And
He
that's
does.
it. Like, you get it. You're like, oh damn, okay. Like, all right, you got that one. Okay, I'll get you next time, because you see with the veracity and the attitude with which he goes after rebounds. Like, this is I'm anxious. I would love to hear why Billy doesn't play him more. I don't know.
I'd be curious too, like why he's not more integrated into the game.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, moving on. Next top of the morning topic. Here's the other team, the Blackhawks. They fall to the Anaheim Ducks, and Charlie Sheen yesterday. That's Emilio Estevez. Sorry, his brother. 3-2 in overtime. The Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks. Yes.
Mrazek stopped 23 of 26 shots. Jason Dickinson, he scored his 8th goal of the season. Seth Jones, he lit the lamp for the 5th time this year. Patrick Kane got his 26th helper. Dickinson, in addition to his goal, he got his 10th helper of the year, along with Johnson, his 10th. Johnson got his 10th helper of the year. And I guess this is really what we want. We're trying to get that top pick in Connor Bedard. He's one of those generational talents that people talk about, kind of like Connor McDavid over in Edmonton. And if they can keep him, or they can draft him with the first overall pick, I think we're cooking with gas.
But where does this, I read the article that John Dietz wrote for the Daily Herald, kind of talking about, is this kind of like it for Taze and Kane? Is it time to move forward? It was actually a very good article, which is posted on our page, so you should read it. It's good. I guess the question becomes this: when do you let them go? Because this is rebuild, this is implode. I don't know what this is. We know they're not winning, and we know they're not going anywhere. So if you can still get something for them, then you should deal, even though it's going to be hard to watch, and respectfully so. But I don't feel that even if they were to stay, even with a top draft pick, I don't think that equates into a Stanley Cup. I don't. So I feel like the time is now to deal them, to get something for it, and maybe they can go someplace else and still win.
I get Patrick Kane wants the records. He wants to be the all-time leading Mr. Blackhawk, and that's cool. I get it, and I have no problem with that. But man, trade them to. We can do it. We talked about it. You could be a rental, all right? Trade this year. Go to a contender. Help another team win a Stanley Cup. I mean, because you and Taze are literally your free agents, unrestricted free agents at the end of the year.
Yes.
Come back. Let them do that. Let them get some assets in return. Because you mean to tell me a team who's teetering or who's contending is not going to want a Patrick Kane in their lineup? You're not going to want a Jonathan Taze, put him on the third line and solidify. So now you have 3 solid lines. Come on, man. They have their value.
Yes,
so
they do.
Do that. Let them get traded. Come back. And if you want to ride this out, which is what I've been reading from a lot of people, okay, cool. But at least get something. And you get a Connor Bedard, and you get some other guys. We have some talent, but we need a goaltender. That's what we need. We need a good goaltender. We need to,
Do you know and I agree with what you're saying. And by the way, like I would tell Patrick Kane, you are Mr. Blackhawk. You don't know it. It's going to be rare if someone's going to take that from you. You know what I mean? You have done so much. You were the kid extraordinaire. Hey, you were the American.
Yeah.
who obviously hockey, because they're usually Canadians or Finnish or something else.
Euro, yeah.
Yeah, they're Euro or Canadian. So it's like you are Mr. Blackhawk. You don't have to worry about it. It's rare that someone will come along and push you off that pedestal. So I'm like you are, Shawn. Go, let us get something for you, and you can always come back. But and it's interesting, like they're so compassionate, like they want to be here, and it's like, why do you want to be here? This is painful. But it's hard to watch, but I feel like somebody has to make that executive decision and has to move them. And this is interesting because the reason there needs to be a change, this is the first time in a long time that the Blackhawks have not had a goalie. You could go back when they were winning. Remember, it started out with Javi Bulin. And then who was the black guy who died? He drowned.
Oh, yeah.
I just drew a blank on his name.
Yeah, me too.
But we've always had decent goaltenders. Like when one left, another one was able to step in. This is, and why Hobby Bullen's name is stuck in my head like that, and I can't remember a simple name. That's stupid. That's like weird. I can't remember
Anthony Niemi when we won our first title in 10. He was a rookie goaltender. Then he wanted more money, and then like deuces. And we won again back in 13.
Joe, oh gosh, it's like right there. It's like right at the tip of my tongue. But yes, so we've always had decent goaltenders, and this is the first time in a long Ray Emery. Thank you. I can remember Hobby Bullen. Go figure on that. That's stupid. Anyways, but to me, that says a lot that, well, they need a goaltender. That's the first thing. I agree with you on that. Emery. Yes. Ray Emery.
Yep.
Mac was like, Emery. Yes. So they need to trade them. They need to get something for them. They need to.
You do want to say good stuff to Charles Edward Bingham McDavid Sr. He's in the house. Matthew Lucas. Good morning, Papa. Thanks for tuning in. Our man from Second City Sports, you can find them every Monday and Friday here, 12 o'clock on Sports Zone Chicago. Sydney Brown checking in. Thanks for checking in, Papa. I love it. Appreciate you watching us. The next top of the morning topic, Steve, let's run it. LeBron James. All right, I am happy for this guy. LeBron James yesterday did what most people thought
he's got it.
Was going to be undoable.
Coming to the end of the third quarter. LeBron James, a shot in history.
With that shot, he passes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the NBA's all-time scoring leader. You see the captain right there. I'm happy for him. I'm ecstatic for him. I'm not a big fan of him as a basketball player. I'm a big fan of him as a man for what he's done for the community and off the court. I'm a fan. I think he's a great basketball player. I think this is a record. I mean, he wasn't even born when the record was
which just
established.
goes to show you how amazing he really is as a player. And the thing is, this record has now been matched, and he's going to go past it. So now the bar is about to be raised for the next person. And I'm going to say this: I know how LeBron is just one of those polarizing people. He really is. Like I said, I like him as a man off the court. He does really amazing things. His thought pattern is there. I do like him as a player. I like eventually how he came to terms with how he left Cleveland and it was irresponsible, and he apologized because he was young. I get it. So he's made some mistakes, but who hasn't? I don't dislike him as a player, but people get really upset because they feel like he controls everything. Well, I'm sorry.
I think he does.
But here's my thing. Even if he does, why are you mad about his game? That he can go in and get what he wants. Isn't that what we all want?
Yeah.
Be able to have more control over what we do with our lives. So why are you hating on the man because he has that kind of influence? When people do that, I'm like, so if you had the opportunity to do or make things the way you wanted them to, you would be like, oh no, I'm not going to do it. Shut up. That's just mere mortals being mad at demigods. That's what that is. So I'm happy for him. Kudos for you. You're on a team that is going nowhere. Now his next decision is, does he stay? What does he do at this point?
Yeah. I agree with you, Maya. I'm still annoyed with the decision, and I know, and that's just me being petty. There's nothing more, nothing less. He was young. I've done stupid stuff as I was younger. Should I do stupid stuff now? All right. So I think part of it is just the recency bias, like how people and you know what's really funny is even Michael said it, and people when they asked Michael, this was years ago. And they said, you know what? It's a lot of people now. He goes, they think I'm the greatest. He said, but he goes, 20 years ago, it goes, it was something different. He goes, and 20 years from now, he goes, people probably think LeBron's the greatest. And he's right.
I was going to say that Mike is the greatest.
Jordan
left a footprint like nobody ever. I mean, like no one else ever has. And LeBron's name will go in that conversation as being an exceptionally really good, great basketball player. But it's interesting if you were to put him on that Mount Rushmore of like players, I wouldn't choose him to be there. And it's not that I don't think he's a great player. And people are asking questions like how many years did Kareem play? Mike played for, and I get all that. Here's the thing. We can't change that Kareem didn't probably play nearly as long as LeBron has. LeBron puts a lot of stock into his body like Tom Brady did. They do a lot of things to be able to get on the floor and to play night in and night out to be able to still do this. I mean, so yes, that does play into it, but that's what will change a record. Like the next person might play longer than he does. He might play for more than one team. That's kind of where things that old school mentality that you played for one team is not really there anymore. It can happen, but like I don't know that I'll see Steph Curry play for somebody else. I think he might be with the Warriors until he decides to retire. You know what I mean? I just can see that. So I don't think those factors change the fact that he still had to be a scorer. Bottom line.
Kareem played 20 seasons, and the only reason, and truth be told, the only reason that Kareem played 20 seasons was because his business manager got him into some bad deals, and he was pretty close to broke toward the end of his basketball career. So he needed to keep playing, and his style of play would be perfect for today. Imagine the sky hook, where you know what I mean. They get it to you, and nobody comes out, and if someone collapses, kick it out to a 3-point shooter. I mean, his style of play was not a physical one like LeBron. So, which I give him a lot of credit, LeBron. You talked about him being a physical specimen, him building his body up to the point where he is. I mean, he's as big as Karl Malone was, doing the stuff that Karl Malone couldn't do. Okay, but I just think that Kareem. I think it was really cool yesterday, him being there, him handing the ball over. I thought that was pretty cool.
It was nice.
Just a lot. And you know what? This is going to be, it's for, right or wrong or indifferent. It doesn't matter how you feel. This is going to be a picture that people are going to remember is the shot that did it. Again, congratulations to him. No ill will toward him. I think it's awesome.
I have no ill will. I mean, he puts the work. You're not talking about somebody who doesn't put the work in. That's the thing. He puts the work in. Regardless of how you feel about him as a player, he does put the work in. And you know what's interesting? LeBron and a few other people are the only players that I would say that you could dial back and you could put them in 90s basketball. But you could take any 90s basketball player and drop it into this sissy league right now. Yeah. And they would dominate. But you take some players and you throw them back in the 90s and they wouldn't make it because it was far more physical and because there's too much flopping now. If I see one more person fall because you just touched them like that, the flopping is like out of control. Oh.
It's on par with soccer, if not worse. You swear a guy
to LeBron. Absolutely.
The guy takes his leg off like, oh, I'm dying, then puts it back on and plays.
Right. It's like
what was pretty cool was we talked about this is they stopped the game. There was like 10 seconds left in the third quarter. I thought it was interesting, but nonetheless, there's a ball that Kareem handed him. I thought that was a cool shot, and then LeBron did something I thought was again pretty cool. He remade the Wilt Chamberlain picture.
I know.
That's pretty dope. That's
something else. Ooh, Lord, literally.
I thought that was pretty dope for LeBron. Yeah. Good marketing. But if you saw his outfit, like when he came in yesterday, like, oh shit, he's on one. Mm-hmm. He's on one. He had all that whole black outfit, the black pants, the black shoes, I don't think he had socks on. The black pants, the black vest, the black jacket. With the shades, like, oh yeah, he's on one. Like it's on tonight. It's getting broke tonight.
Everybody's got to look at it this way. The season is not going great for them. So, get out of it what you can for him. This was a big moment, and he's going to continue. Like I said, now the bar will be raised even more to see what he can get it to.
Truth be told, Maya, I don't think the person who's going to break LeBron James's record is even born yet. I don't think he's even born yet because you're gonna get. And if he is, he's really young. Because remember, now we're stepping into the Steph, Dame, Ja Morant type of players. Who's this kid? A 6'4", 6'6" kid who's gonna be just hit from three, right? You can catch up, cover a lot of ground with 3-point shots. Imagine if Steph had stayed healthy his whole career. Imagine if Steph was Steph when he first came into the league. How much closer he would be, because it's not a lot of physical toll on your body shooting threes.
Here is the other factor that plays into this. LeBron's numbers started from day one. He didn't give up any points to college. So from the minute he came into the league, he started scoring. He was building the record where obviously you had Steph, was at Davidson. You know what I'm saying? So those are numbers that don't count towards NBA numbers. So part of his advantage is for the minute he stepped into the league, he didn't lose any points to playing 3 or 4 years in college or something, so to speak. So that's another thing that, let's be honest, Kareem's record could have potentially have been a bigger number if he hadn't played in college and, went right to the pros. So that's a piece. But again, I'm not saying that to take anything away from LeBron. I'm not. But that definitely is an added factor for him, that the person who's going to be chasing it, maybe they won't play in college. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they will get, start playing earlier, that kind of thing. So it definitely was something that was helpful for him.
Yeah. So you already know kids can't come out of the high school, but they can come out, they can be one and dones.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking literally just 1 year of 1 year of not being in the NBA. So you can come in at 19, and if you get, there's going to be another prodigy child. It just happens. All right. There's just, you had Kobe, you had KG, you had, we want to go back all the way to Daryl Dawkins and Moses Malone, those guys who came out of high school, and so we're going to have another one. Again, I don't think he's born yet. You know what? In my dying day, I think that would be pretty dope, because that record lasts for 39 years.
Yeah,
39 years.
And that's where I don't know that it'll be so easy to break it. Granted, it gives players something to aspire to. And the thing about LeBron, which gave him the ability, is he was definitely a multi-layered player. Yes, he could get in the post and score, but he also could give you three. He had a mid-range game. he had that full complement of being able to score. So it wasn't like, he could only do one thing. So that obviously plays into it heavily too. And like, Will can be honest, being on teams where you've got multiple people can score does make your job a little easier, because, people defend you. But let's say if I've got, somebody over here I got to watch, and then someone over here, it does create more opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
and he also grew up in a league where the three was prevalent. So he has taken a lot more threes. Like I said, those points add up. As you see, those points add up when a three is a part. Because there was 1 year where he shot a lot of threes. Right. I don't think that he did it as much later, but he still has that option when three is very prevalent in the game today, when it wasn't years ago. So hats off to him. There's no shade anywhere from by me toward him. It's an accomplishment that I didn't think I'd see him eclipsed in my lifetime, and I was wrong. I can't even imagine what the ticket. I think they were saying that the cheapest ticket yesterday was like $500, $600 to get into the Laker game. And it's crazy. I just, hats off to him. He's the NBA's all-time leading scorer. And
if you look at who else had the advantage of being able to meet him, because Kobe didn't play college basketball and he did retire. So I'm not sure where he ended his numbers, but again, a very multi-layered player. So you talk about people who come along that maybe could have met him there. And the thing about LeBron staying healthy, that's the key thing too, but also managing to keep his head above water and not get caught up in too many things to take you off your task.
Anything, not even too many, Maya. What
even with him having,
what have you heard from him?
Mama, seriously, even with his mama trying to be distracted,
that might be the only thing.
He sent her back home like, you gonna go back there because I got work to do. You're not going to distract me like this. So but generally speaking, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's innocent, but he never did anything that really pulled him off task.
What does he have? He's been with his high school sweetheart. All right. You've never heard about a scandal with him. You've never heard about him being out at the club. You never heard about him being drunk.
It never really came to fruition, so to speak.
You know what I mean?
So and look at some of the people who totally have gotten sidetracked from. One of my favorites of all time who just could not keep it straight is Shawn Kemp. I used to love Shawn Kemp.
Yeah. But just couldn't keep it in his pants.
Okay, among many things. Good thing that was
condoms. Condoms.
Well, he's not the only one that's stupid like that. But yeah, so it's, if you look at him and
Chris Brown before Chris Brown.
If you look at LeBron from the totality of a player and a man, overall, it's respectable. And I don't care how you feel about him as a player, he's respectable. But that's usually the case, because when people are respectable, then people say they want good people, but when they get good people, then they want to talk about you like a dog.
Yeah, you're lame. You're this. What,
You're
Chandler
lame.
Crowding? We talked about Russ. He's a lame. Like, come on, man. Just because, you don't. Just because you're not a thug. Just because you didn't grow up in that life. Just because you know what I mean. You didn't claim a set. Come on, man. It's the thing about people. Same people who want you to succeed are the same people who want to bring you down.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And it's good to see you have enough players in the league that have kind of normalized that you don't have to be all this extra stuff. Like Steph Curry is poster child, like good kid, good man.
Yeah.
Good kid.
Never going to be confused with somebody about that life.
No, not even a little bit. And he's okay with that. I'm serious. He's just, that's how it is. I mean, and I think you see other players that are like that just they're not totally enmeshed. Like that's why I don't get why Ja is trying to why are you trying to be enmeshed that way? You don't have to be. Look at everybody who's doing their own thing and people like their game. So what you do off the court, or I don't know what the fuck, I don't get that. I don't get it because it's not a necessity at this point.
No, man, I disagree with you. Well, I shouldn't say disagree with you. So LeBron has a hell of an infrastructure around him. Supporters, man, those are all his people. Those are. It's not like he had to go. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but he didn't have to go get a manager guy. He didn't have to go and hire one of those guys. These are all his boys.
Yes,
all his boys, the people he grew up with in high school, he put them through college. He put them through college to their master's degree, and now they are his management team. They are his support. So he didn't go get this guy who represents this guy X, Y, and Z. He didn't go get this marketing guy. He didn't go get this agent. All right, no, these are all his boys. His A1s from day one. So yeah, he has a good infrastructure, but that's because he built it. He created his infrastructure, so he doesn't have to go around. You know what I mean?
And the thing is,
they do a good job because he pays them well.
Yes, and think about it. He definitely has made them wealthy, successful. I mean, he shared his gifts and his rewards with people that he could trust. I mean, and even from day one, I mean, somebody knew LeBron was special from day one. Because he has no relationship with his father whatsoever. The mom was flighty. Was not a good mother. He had people who stepped in literally and made sure that he was taken care of. He went to private school, in Akron. So there were people who knew he was talented when we didn't even know who he was, and made sure that he had values. By the way, he was like an honor student. So he's not, that's another thing too. He's not dumb. He was an honor student in high school. I mean, so he's one of those stories that I think is a good story. And that's why I'm like, why don't you just lay off him? I mean, he's a good story. He could have been just the opposite of not having good parents, could have been running, you know what I'm saying? He could have been everything opposite. He could have had a bunch of kids with a bunch of women. He's not that guy. And I was like, so why can't we celebrate and respect him? Like, so when people dislike him so much, I'm like, I'm not exactly sure what you don't like.
Yeah.
That's what people aspire to a degree, to be that kind of person. And I think he's done it very gracefully. He's made mistakes, and that's okay because people make mistakes. He went back and corrected his wrong, and that's why I respect him. He said it was wrong what I did. If I could do it over, I would. And you know, that accountability piece, because for a long time that didn't sit well with me either what he did in Cleveland. It didn't. And that was his guys. They were all young, you know, making baller moves. You know what I'm saying? And even they all respectfully realized it was wrong what they did. So
yeah, and we've all done stupid shit, dude. I still do stupid stuff now. So, you know, it just when you have more money and you have the platform that he has, you know, it's easy to hate someone like that or dislike someone because of that, because a lot of it is jealousy, you know, for most people, and that's the majority of it is just jealousy. So again, congratulations to him, NBA's all-time leading scorer, just one of the best athletes. You know, he could have gone and played football if he wanted to. You remember he was a number 2. He didn't even play football his senior year. He stopped after his junior year. He didn't even play football his senior year at St. Vincent, St. Mary, St. Paul's,
something like that. Yeah, and
he was still the number 2 recruit out of the state of Ohio.
And Ohio State, interesting. Isn't that interesting? Was on his radar.
Oh, they wanted him like.
He said that's where he would have gone was Ohio State. Imagine that LeBron, Ohio State. Imagine him playing basketball at Ohio State. That would have been some interesting stuff. Yeah. I don't know. To see him in college basketball, he probably would have looked a lot like Zion Williamson, like that very physical, strong. He dominated college and high school. That's why I think he's struggling in the pros because he can't be as dominant as he was. But yeah we'll see. Well, listen, we got to take. Proud of you.
Hats off to you, sir. Listen, we got to take a quick break, and then the other side of the break, we're going to welcome our guy, Fred Pfeiffer. All right, get some Bulls talk in here, so don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
The future is threatened by enemies often unrelenting.
Brains, get these people out of here. It's gonna be all right.
Unexpected and unpredictable.
Marines.
In the midst of an uncertain and evolving world, the need for Marines to defeat these shifting threats is critical.
Enemy drone down.
Because the need to ensure stability for our nation has never been greater.
Sending
there are battles to win for America's future, there is one constant: Marines.
The Earth is 70% water. And 30% land. But the entire sky belongs to us. Copy that. Team Hireman.
Himself out the game. When he's in the game and he's not getting in foul trouble, he's been very effective.
Dragic spinning, floating it up and in. Just nice to see Collins healthy. He had another injury earlier this year. Nice feed.
Most of those guys had ice on the knees.
Kobe White and one.
Sub-zero.
DeRozan in the post at the other end. Kicks to Vucevic. There's Dosunmu. Off to Vucevic.
Nice pass.
Back within one is San Antonio. Dosunmu all the way.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. You see those videos, that video courtesy of NBC Sports Chicago. And there's a couple of things that I'm liking. Recently, when our big three are playing, Maya, I think we're starting to see them finally coexist. Okay, learning how to play with each other on the court. You saw that was evidenced by the balanced scoring a couple of days ago, and I get it. It was only San Antonio. It's not like you're playing Boston. But even in games when we play Boston, we play Miami, we play Milwaukee, we're gonna get those guys are gonna get 20 apiece. All right, and how much over 20? Fine. You may have one guy over 30, but you're gonna get 20, and you're gonna get a double from Vooch. So that is what I really like. I'm starting to be happy about that. But that one piece that we're missing, Maya, to me, is still Lonzo Ball, that floor leader. Okay, because one question to you is, what do you think they're going to do at the All-Star break? I mean, the trade deadline, which is tomorrow at 2:00 our time.
I'm going to agree with Casey and say I think they don't do anything, because it's not like you feel what you have is bad or wrong, but you realize that you're definitely missing a key piece in Ball. So you want to get him back on the court because, I think Iowa's done a great job in being asked to step in and be a point guard. I get that, but that's, he's kind of learning that on the fly to be able to take over and do these things. And I think he's done an exceptionally good job, considering that he doesn't have, he's not a veteran in the league. So you need Lonzo back to look at this to say, okay, we insert this piece. And even if he was to come back this year, it's kind of like, if this year is a wash because you get him back in the mix, because then they have to rebuild that chemistry. Because remember, him and Caruso used to be like the tandem. Like that was, they were like on, so imagine you get him back and you've got DeRozan. I mean, it's just, you feel like you're missing something, but I feel like you can't really assess what's missing until every piece is there. So that's why I don't think you do anything, because this season is not going, you're not going to miss out on something. You know what I mean? By acquiring somebody, it's not going to put you over the hump. You're not getting anything. If you're not making it to play in the finals, then don't give up anything at this point. Be patient.
So you got to sign Vooch. He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. You're ready to do that, because the Bulls are in a situation where if they don't sign him, he can go somewhere else. He has no ties to here. I do think the fact that they've been playing well together lately, I think that is a big advantage for the Bulls. Say, hey, look, here's what we got. We're missing Ball. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out and get another point guard, okay, who could facilitate, who can do things, because I think that's look what happened when we had Lonzo Ball last year. And I'm not saying we're going to win the NBA title. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is we had the best record in the East until the All-Star break, and when Lonzo got hurt, okay, we had the best record in the East, number one, numero uno. Like, there was nobody better with a better record in the Eastern Conference than us, and we were like, whoa. But that's what happens when you have a good point guard, when you have a good facilitator, when you have a good floor leader, and we have that. We had it. Look what it got us, and now that we haven't had it, look what it's got us. We're literally just flailing. We're like a ship, or a boat, I should say, with only one oar. We just keep going in circles and circles and circles. We're not moving forward. We're not moving backward. We're just right there in the middle. And to me, that's more frustrating than being at the top or being at the bottom, because at least you know where you're at. Here, you're just,
and the other pieces. So, like, for instance, we went into the season with a lot of question marks. Like, what do you do with, Kobe White, who was not playing up to a level where this year he took that step forward, because coming into the season, like, you can trade him, because at this point he's not giving you what you need, and he's taken that big development step. So Patrick Williams finally kind of broke out of his cycle of I guess feeling that he shouldn't be dominant. It's like, yes, you should, and now you're seeing the production, and this is nowhere near what he can be. So that's why I was like, you have a lot of pieces that are still very explosive, that can grow. Io is still there. We haven't seen, this isn't his ceiling. So, I mean, you have a lot of young players that I'm like, what you have around them is working. So I'm like, don't be disruptive. And I think you should resign Vooch, because you know what? We had to go through that painful season where he thought he was a three-point shooter. He got really confused. He finally got his right at the ship, got his game together. His mid-range is there. It's not like he can't hit a three, but that's not his bread and butter. You know what I mean? No. So I feel like we had to go through all that to get him to this point. Keep him, because you can't, outside of that, you've got Drummond. It's like, but you don't want to deal your big man that can score, especially when you saw a night like last night. Granted, I mean, if you could have maybe gotten a little bit more, let's just say, from Patrick Williams, or maybe a little bit more from you know what I'm saying? Or even a bit more production from the bench, not a whole bunch. The Bulls easily could have won that game, because they fought back coming out of halftime and got right, they got right back in it. It looked like they were going to turn the corner. And it's just like you said, if DeRozan's on the floor, they win that game. I fully believe they win that game if DeRozan's on the floor with them. So, I mean, here's what we've come to understand. When key people are missing, they're not a good team. They are a team. They play team basketball. So when you miss a key component, you feel it, you see it, they don't win.
Yeah, the score was tied. They were tied at 82 yesterday. All right, they were tied at 82, and then Memphis just went on a run. All right, they hit a couple of threes, a lot. And what I saw yesterday, and this is my issue with Zach, is you can tell at that point he got flustered. He took a couple of bad threes, no one underneath the rim, off balance, quick, not in rhythm, not coming off a screen, not a catch and shoot, just dribbling, and then pop up, raise up in a three. They looked frazzled yesterday, and you can't do that. You talk about DeRozan. DeRozan doesn't get frazzled. All right, he got that old man game where he's, you know what? I'm gonna go to this spot. I'm gonna go to this spot. I'm gonna hit a raise up with a mid-range jumper, and there's nothing you can do about it. I may give you a fake or two, get you in the air, but I'm going to my spot, and you can't stop me.
A little bit earlier in the season, though, there were some games where DeMar got agitated. I was like, is he PMSing? Because it wasn't him. It was like a couple games in a row where he was not feeling it, and he was letting the refs know it. And I was like, oh, DeMar. Because he's just like, he had some moments where he just was not feeling it, and he was vocal. And then I think he righted his ship and he was okay. I think he was just having a PMS moment. But yeah, but generally speaking, he doesn't get rattled. And you want, Like, because he worked out with Pat. He worked out with Iowa over the summer, which I hope they do it again to keep building. And Zach, you might need to show up too. You want to know the truth. And Kobe, you should come too. Seriously, working with those young players. I mean, he's a difference maker. When they got him, everyone was like, boo. I was like, no, I like it. I like it. I like when they picked up Drummond. I'm like, oh no, I like that. These are good.
Yeah.
Because they didn't. DeMar was in with the Spurs. There was nothing there for him. Great coach, respectfully. Even that is coming. You know what I'm saying? That's coming to its own end. But there was nothing there for him, and how he left Toronto, he wasn't very happy about it.
No.
You know what I mean? So, and then you got sent to the Spurs. It was like, really?
Especially after what Toronto did after they shipped him off.
Yeah. So you're bitter, like, are you kidding me? But then he comes to the Bulls, and I think for him, I think he likes it here. He likes the team. So this is a good fit. I never thought he was done. I'm like, no, he's not done. He just wasn't in a good destination. Drummond, I liked him. And people kept saying, oh, no, he's Tristan Thompson 2.0. I'm like, no, he's not. He's better than that.
Oh, much
He's
better.
way better than that.
He's a former All-Star when he's with Detroit. This guy's good.
People get weird like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Tristan Thompson, I was like, no, that was a bad move. That was like just giving a check away. But whatever. So
what do you think about Billy, though? Because Billy Donovan, as much as everyone heaps praise him, and I have too, but I've also been critical of him, like that because of situations like we saw yesterday, or before the last two games. Why isn't Drummond playing? Drummond goes in there, goes ham. This is a guy you need. Why doesn't he get tick when we're playing those tall, long teams? Why doesn't he get tick when you need a physical presence of force, a little nastiness in there? Why isn't he playing? How many times is this guy going to get a DNP coach's decision? How many times is that going to happen? You pay this guy good money. Use him. He's not using them. How much does that fall onto Billy, and how much does that fall onto Billy when they don't run the offense through Vooch at the end of the game? Say, hey, listen, dude, this is what we got. This is what got us the lead. Now you want to go hero ball?
It's interesting because the thing is, I like Billy, but there are times when he does things that don't make sense to me. Now, that's, again, easy for me to say because I'm sitting here watching the game. I'm seeing it from the bird's eye views. We can be critical of things. But that is a question that people have said repeatedly, like Drummond is not played enough. That's been said repeatedly. And then his weird last night was funny. But generally speaking, minutes-wise, I think he does pretty good with most players. Drummond is that one player I think it just doesn't make any sense. And I don't know why he doesn't play him. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't know. I'd like to ask him. I think next time someone covers the Bulls, when Josh Hicks is there, hey, Josh, throw that question out. Like, Drummond is a good fit. He has that defensive prowess that we need. The rebounding, the physical body, our big man. Like, a lot of people question, like, why does he not get more minutes? You won't know unless you ask. And I don't know if he even has an answer for it. What are you going to say?
No, I don't like
play him when I think he should play.
It's tough. Let's talk about your guy, P. Will. All right, P. Will, we've seen him mature. We've seen him grow. We've seen him develop. I'm still not happy with it. I wish it would have been on the second unit, but there's no denying you've seen the growth. You've seen, I just, give me your thoughts on P. Will, where he's at now. Cause now he's getting more rebounds. Remember about a month and a half ago, people were talking about, well, man, he's not rebounding. Well, now he's not rebounding as much as you'd like. However, he does go in there and get rebounds. He does follow shots a lot more than he did a month and a half ago. Talk to me about your guy, P. Will.
Well, I'm team, patty cakes. I'm team patty cakes all the time. I am happy with his development. Oh, come on, Nomad. Come on.
You know what, Nomad? You could just put it on and you don't got to watch us. You can just listen to us. Your funky self.
I am happy with his progress. The defense, I do want that to tighten up a little bit more. I'm with you on that. But I am seeing the progress. And I think he struggled because we didn't struggle with anything. The confidence piece was interesting, how he was deferring a lot. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think he had to have that breakthrough of, what am I deferring for? I need to go for it. So there are times on nights I'm like, he's spot on. And there's other nights he seemed a little off. But I also feel like this is a development curve. And we also have to see how he does for the stretch of the season because he hasn't played a full season. You know what I mean? Right. So how he's going to do, is fatigue going to set in? Or, how is he going to manage this, as he pushes through the season? So And by no means am I saying don't play him less or more because of that, because either way, he has to be able to get out there and contribute. So I'm happy where he is. I just want to see him better on defense. You know what? The Bulls can be good on nights where like they're crashing the boards, they're creating second chance opportunities, and then you'll see them have a night where they shoot and run. And it's like not trying to rebound to create second chance opportunities. So they're not consistent with that. I was like, so there's small things, because remember that then becomes the culture of shoot and run. No, I mean, it's great if you make the assumption it's going to go in, but that's not always the case. So I want to see them. It's not just him. Defensively, I want to see them commit a little bit more than what they do. But then again, maybe if you kept drumming out there, you'd see more of it, because that's your guy who's going to be trying to push for getting those rebounds that then can get people to stay on that side of the court to create those second chance opportunities. But no one is like committed to crashing the boards.
Yeah, and I think I really like Drummond's. What what's I think it's crazy to say is like he's like a one-man rebounding team. Like it's him. We've seen him versus three guys, and him come out of the pack with it, and he's just a bull in a china shop, and I love it. It's a throwback to 90s. It's a throwback to
a bull in a china shop. That's a great example. It's okay. Here's what's weird. So I said that you could take his game and you could get him more in that Karl Malone kind of vein.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a little bit of Rodman in it, but he's bigger than what Rodman was.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. But he has that intent, that intensity. You know what I mean? So he kind of embodies some different things. But the thing is, the Bulls need that. And actually, they could use a little more. If you could go find me one more person that's like that is aggressive in the post, because we know Vooch is not aggressive, even though he'll have a night occasionally where he thinks he's doing something. And I'll be like, oh, look at you. Okay. But you need that intensity. And he is, I notice the plays when he's on the court, they commit more to the offensive side of the ball and creating those chances if somebody misses. Now, don't get me wrong. When the threes are dropping and people are scoring, I get it. You kind of get into a rhythm. Your night. When somebody has a night. So that I think that can also kind of creep into the psyche a bit, like Zach's hot. When he throws, he's dropping threes. Okay, we got to get back on defense. But so it's just a mindset. But I feel like Donovan has to be the one to get everybody like, hey, we're off tonight. So I want to see rebounding. I need to see more aggressive defense. He just has to, I don't know what he says in the circle, but he might have to kind of remind them of what he needs from them every time they come out of a timeout. Like, I need this from you. This is what we're not doing good with this right now.
And that's surprising, because you would think at this level you understand when you're hot, when your shot's falling, when it's not. And when it's not, you have to understand, because this isn't your first rodeo, that you have to do other things on the court to kind of supplement the lack of scoring that you're getting, if that's your gig. All right, if you're a Zach, if you're a DeMar, if you're a Vooch. Okay, Vooch, Vooch keep getting double-doubles. So if Vooch is off, say Vooch only has 12 points, okay, not a great shooting night for him. Okay, no problem. But if you give me 12 to 14 rebounds and 4 or 5 assists, well, that's supplementing and doing other things. He's playing good defense, at least getting in the passing lanes, or taking charges or something, because we know he's not a shot blocker. But now you're doing something. Zach needs to understand that you can affect the game on both ends of the court. If your shot's not falling, 1, go to the hole. But 2, play defense. 2, 3, go get some more rebounds. 4, make sure you get set up other people. Okay, 5, I don't know if I mentioned this, play some more God bless the defense, because I saw it the other day. There's no way, Zach, that you can tell me you can't play defense. You're locking people up. It's just that he doesn't want to. And to me, that's the issue, is he doesn't want to night in and night out.
It's okay. And it's interesting, because when Jabari Parker made that comment and people got mad, but it was the truth. It was the ugly truth. Like, people aren't here to play defense. They're here to score. And people looked at him like, oh, but if you're watching the game every night, he didn't lie. Like, defense isn't being played when people are scoring like 124 points in a game. That means nobody is really playing defense like they should. When you're scoring 100+ games like that. In the 90s, we were 80s, the 90s, that was like the score range, because people were in there like playing defense and it was physical. So he didn't lie, but then people got pissed. And I was like, he told the truth. He probably shouldn't have said it, but I got it and I agreed. I was like, but just because that's the case doesn't mean you should not commit to playing defense. And the teams who do it You see the balance and you see how well. I think Milwaukee does a good job of playing a balance. They play defense and they also obviously have a good offense. I mean, and Giannis is on it. Like he likes playing defense. Oh my God. He enjoys it. And I like that. And he's a scorer, but he likes to play defense. A lot of players don't like to play defense. That's the problem.
Cornelius, here, I'm going to disagree with you here, boss. Okay. Zach is one of the best catch and shoot guys in the league, and they just said no picks for him. I agree with you here. My question is, why aren't you running off screens? All right. Why aren't you coming off? That should be, you've heard me say this on this show. Dude, you better act, why aren't you acting like Reggie Miller, Steph Curry, Rip Hamilton? Those dudes are running off 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. I mean, they're running around the court literally the whole time they're out there. So if you understand this is what you're good at, well then, man, okay, you don't need Billy to tell you what you're good at. You know what you're good at. And, you should. And again, this also falls on Billy, but there should be plays where Zach, you come around. I talked about it. You got the point guard and everyone on and Vooch on the left side of the screen, left side of the court. You got Zach in the right corner, and you got two guys staggered over there. So once the ball goes into Vooch, Zach can come off two screens off of two staggered screens. Okay, and now you have a chance to, if Vooch can score, then you score. And if Zach comes wide open, kick it out to Zach from beyond three. Yeah, that's the question. That is the question. Is that Billy or Zach or both? Because if I would go, if I'm Zach and I don't want to play defense, and if Billy's telling them to play defense and they don't play defense, obviously that's Zach. So if I'm Zach, I'm like, hey, you know what? Let me run some screens, and they don't run screens. Why don't you say, Billy, we need to run more screens for me. I want to come off screens. I want to get my guy tired. I want to whatever. So it tires him off on when he's on offense, having to chase me. I think don't get me wrong, Cornelius. I think they both share that blame. They both have that issue. Because I would love for him to come to run out to just run a dude ragged. Just run around the court. We saw Reggie Miller, right? We saw Rip Hamilton. Dude, those dudes, they were built different. That means you got to get in shape. That means you got to work in the offseason so you can just get out there and run like a son of a gun, like a jackrabbit for the 8, 10, 12, 15 minutes you're on and then recoup. Because I would love to see Zach do that. And then, give him an eyebrow fake. And now you got he's jumping at you because you're such a good catch and shoot 3-point shooter. All right. Now you could go to the hole if you give an eyebrow fake. And now a whole bunch of other things start. So, yeah, I think that falls on both people, Cornelius. That falls on both people, man. Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, we got my man was able to join us. We appreciate him. He's a good friend of the program. He's from the Big Red Bus. I'm excited to we got a couple questions for him. You can find him on Twitter at CBE Fred for Chicago Bullseye. At CBE Fred, guys, let's welcome back to Shawn and Maya, Fred Pfeiffer. Fred, what's up, Papa? How are you?
I'm living the dream, Shawn. It's so good to be here, and I apologize about being a little late. Got caught up in my real everyday job, and so I apologize.
Damn life.
It's so good to see you, Maya. It's great to see you. The Red Leviathan is alive and well. Don't let yesterday's disappointing loss. Let us. The big picture. We're still in the playoff hunt. I'm not for rebuilding and blowing this up. I still think there's a few subtle moves we can make that could put us right into contender status.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I was going to ask you. Hold on, my guy Luis Mejia checking in from 30,000 feet. He's supposed to be on a plane. That's my man Luis. What's up? So talk to me about yesterday, man. It's when I heard that DeMar wasn't playing, I was like, oh man, I got a little apprehensive about the chance of winning. And then yet the fact is the Bulls were tied. They back and forth, and they were tied 82-all. And then they went on a run. But talk to me about yesterday, what you liked about yesterday's game, what you liked about Zach, and where Zach fell short yesterday.
Well, getting to the free throw line 17 times right away for Zach is phenomenal. It's a career high. He's never done that before. That indicates a high level of aggressiveness. I love that about Zach when he's taking it to the rim with reckless abandon. Fortunately, he missed the number of free throws, which is the negative. I thought Vooch played an excellent game. He was solid. I thought they went away from him a little bit too much in Q4, and Zach played a little bit too much hero ball in Q4. On the disappointing side, I got to point to Patrick Williams again. Puts up a single. he was absolutely embarrassed in the first quarter by Jaren Jackson Jr., and I don't blame that on him. Jaren Jackson Jr. is the most underrated player in the NBA. What he was doing on that court in the first quarter was amazing. He had 4 blocks it was just, I couldn't even believe what I was seeing. The guy is just such a defensive force. And then in the post, he was just, they put Patrick on him. They tried to go one-on-one with him, and he was absolutely unable to handle him. So that guy is an incredible player. And again, he doesn't get anywhere near the amount of credit he should. Big picture, though, I still feel like, we need more at the 4. We just don't get enough rebounding, consistent rebounding, and enough aggressiveness and consistent scoring from Patrick Williams. Last 5 games, he's been to the free throw line 5 times. What does that indicate to you? Not aggressive enough, not trying to get contact, not trying to draw fouls. He settles for 3-point shots. In the last 8 games, he's shooting about 28% from the 3-point line. So he's not hitting the 3 at a level that is acceptable right now. I mean, overall, on the course of the year, he's been arguably our best 3-point shooter, and I love that aspect of his game. And I'm not saying that he can't become a very good player. I think he will be. But right now, in his progression as an NBA player, he's not far enough along for us to optimize what we have, which is a veteran team that needs to win now within the next 2-3 years. We have to upgrade at that position. They basically just handed him the starting position as a rookie and had Thad Young back him up, traded Young. We've never really addressed it, that 4 position. In the last 2 years, we've given it to Javonte Green, who's a fine player, the backup minutes, but he's got the body of a 3 and the skill set of a 5. We need to be more consistent at the 4 and find a guy that can provide a little bit more consistency. And I think Jay Crowder is the answer there. I don't know what it will take to get him, but I hope they're aggressive in kind of addressing that and getting another 4 in here that could potentially help us on those nights where we're not getting it from Patrick.
What about? Go ahead, man.
One of the listeners put in, what about Mo Bamba's out there? What about how would he be a fit? Somebody put it out there.
So I have a reflex, like every time I hear the name Mo Bamba, because I was very heavily involved in that draft, and I had to put up with many conversations with people about why the Bulls should move up to get Mo Bamba. I've never seen a less impressive college tape for a guy with so much hype than Mo Bamba. So let's just start there. I think he was the most overrated, arguably, prospect I've ever seen. There was nothing on tape to indicate in his time that I think he was at Texas that this guy deserves to be a top 10 pick. So, reflexively, I'm always, every time I hear the name Mo Bamba, I'm like, I don't want any part of that guy. He has progressed and become an average to good 3-point shooter. He can offer some rim protection, but I just don't think that guy's going to make a major difference in terms of sending an asset out to get Mo Bamba is not a game that I want to play. I think he's under contract now for 2 years. I know he signed in the offseason. Off the top of my head, I don't have it in front of me. So that might be okay if you're not going to send a major asset for him, but it would potentially help to go with our rim protection. The issue with Mo, though, always hurt. He's usually always got some kind of injury. He's missed large swaths of his career. That's the last thing I want to bring onto the Bulls. Another guy, an off-injured player. We got plenty of those guys. And I don't know. I'm not really big on Mo Bamba, so I guess I kind of rambled on there. So
Fred,
it was a question.
Fred, talk to me about Billy then, because I'm starting to have some issues with Billy. And I like Billy a lot. When they hired him, I still like him. Like they're just not responding to him. Like I don't understand how you cannot. So for example, okay, yeah, you and I definitely on different sides of the fence. We talk about how the offense should roll with going through Vooch and things like that. Here's another situation. You mentioned when Patrick Williams is not shooting, recently hasn't been shooting a 3 very well. Okay, well then send his ass to the cup. All right, you tell him your ass has to get to the foul line. You have to drive, so you'll be the third slasher. Last night would have been the second because DeMar's out, but he needs to understand. So Billy and DeMar and Vooch and Zach, and listen, if it's not falling, you got to go to the cup. Like that, and he's young. He's still 21. He finally buy a drink now legally, I think. But he's got to be. This is your coach. His coaching comes in here and say, hey, listen, I could tell your shot's not falling, but I need you to get to the cup. I need you to go. And he's been a little more aggressive as far as rebounding recently, which I'm happy about. Okay. Yeah. But you can be more aggressive by going to the hole. We've seen him go to the hole. We've seen him score that way. We've seen him get and ones. I think to me that would, that's an issue, is that they don't understand, or Billy's not having them do, when your shot's not falling. We just talked about this literally 5 minutes before you came on. There's other things you can do to affect the game. And he doesn't do that. Neither does Zach, but we're not talking about Zach right now. We're talking about P. Will.
So let's start out with P. Will. From the minute he was drafted, I've had a major issue with the way he attacks the offensive board. You can watch it on tape every game, especially in his rookie year. If a shot goes up on the opposite side, usually about 75% of the time, a rebound is going to be on the opposite side. So let's say he's on the right side of court, shot goes up on the left side. The rebound most of the time is going to end up on the right side. He rarely attacks the offensive board when that shot goes up, and he's had plenty of opportunities to do that. I know for certain the coaches have addressed that with him, and you've seen it improve gradually. But more often than not, with Patrick, you still see the shot goes up and you see him jogging back to the opposite side. And you see a guy like Javonte, and some people will argue, well, that's maybe the coaches are telling him that because they want to prevent fast breaks, and the Bulls are pretty good in terms of defensive transition. But the fact is, when Javonte will come in, or when you see Derrick Jones Jr., those guys are attacking the offensive rim with much more reckless abandon than Patrick will. And so I think it's more in the nature of the player, and I think they are trying to address that with him. But you either have it or you don't when it comes to aggressiveness on the court. I'm a coach, and I really feel that way. You can see a player. Some kids just are naturally want to mix it up, and other players don't. They're a little bit more finesse-type players that are just relying on skill and don't want to mix it up physically. And I think he's kind of like the latter. I think he's a guy who's just more very skilled. He's got ability, he can shoot the basketball, but he doesn't want to mix it up and use a lot of his strengths. But it's getting better. So I hear this a lot, like Billy is the problem. Billy's the problem. There's no offensive geometry with this team. Shawn, I hear you say this, and a lot of my friends talk about this. Let's get Vooch in a post. And I'm fine with that, doing that occasionally. Number one, that's not the way an NBA is played this year. It's 1989. Teams do not. It's not an efficient way to run an offense. We're not going to go anywhere with Vooch in the post. We're not going to win anything that matters because we're going to run into Embiid or we're going to run into Lopez in Milwaukee. And those guys, you can go single coverage on them and it's all over. Number two, if you're going to play that way, you better have guys that can hit the three-point shot. We don't have that consistently, anywhere near consistently from the three-point line outside of Zach. So, again, it's offensive construction. There's no geometry here. And number three, the best thing about this team to me is where are we optimized offensively? It's with the ball in DeMar DeRozan's hands, him making decisions, attacking the rim, getting to the free throw line. And when you have a 250-pound center in the lane and a defender, that screws that up, that whole plan. So they don't work especially well together, especially since DeMar's not a three-point shooter. That was roster construction. It's not coaching. And I think it's a miracle to me that this team, if you look up and down this roster, how many plus defenders are on this roster? You got Io, maybe. I would throw obviously Caruso's a fantastic defender, and Lonzo Ball. Outside of those three, Lonzo Ball, yeah, I know, unfortunately. But outside of those three, who's a real defender that you're like, wow? And I know Patrick has a lot of ability as a one-on-one defender. He's not a plus. Nobody's ever going to game plan. How are we going to keep Patrick Williams off our best guy? He's not there yet. He may be there one day. He's awful off ball. And I've highlighted this many times on Twitter. So, he's doing miracles with this team. Vooch is the worst, arguably, rim defender in the league. He's terrible. He's a good defensive rebounder, and that's important, but he can't protect the rim. Mm-hmm. It's a miracle what Billy has done with this team on the defensive end. On the offensive end, I highlighted it before. There's not a lot of offensive geometry. The pieces don't fit really well together. We need to get a shooter in there horribly. We're last in the league in three-point attempts. In the modern NBA, that's a recipe for disaster.
It is. My question and my rebuttal to you is that with Vooch in the post, I still think my biggest issue is there's no ball movement. I mean, no moving without the ball. Like you can have, right before you came on, you can have Zach coming off of screens. Our best three-point shooter coming off of screens. While Vooch is pounding it down low, he can come off staggered screens. You remember Rip Hamilton. You remember Reggie Miller. You see Steph Curry. They come off screens. Right? Yeah. That could still work with Zach because now, and maybe you're right. Maybe with Embiid or the Freak, it is one-on-one. No problem. But now you still got to deal with Zach coming off screens. You're going to have to deal with, and just because he's got to go against Embiid or the Freak doesn't mean he's not going to get him in foul trouble. Doesn't mean he can't score. I'm not saying he may put up 50. I'm saying, but now they don't like that type of stuff. All right, the freak don't like to
Yeah.
bang down low. All right, he'd rather be out on the. He'd rather be running, playing Euro ball. So you can still do that with him. All right, I still think it works because you got 2 guys on one side, 3 guys on the other. I said Zach in the corner. The ball's on the left side. Zach's on the right side, on the right corner. Give the ball to Vooch. You pound the ball. You pound the ball. Zach comes off 2 staggered screens. And now what do you got? Do you rotate? Do these guy open? You rotate twice. The other guy. There's ways to do this. And then also, I mean, I just think right now, this year, that to me, that works. The formula might not, it'll probably change next year. Everything changes year to year. But I think this year, if he's our best catch and shoot 3-point shooter, well, then damn it, get him in catch and shoot situations. And the Bulls haven't done that. Now, whether it's Billy or whether that with play design and play calls, or whether that's Zach not wanting to run them, whatever it is, I don't know who it is, but there's ways you can do it. You know, Stacey says it's an easy game. It's an easy game. What do you do well? Well, then let's do what we do well, and they're not doing what they do well.
Oh, Shawn, no, I would counter. I think they have been working Vooch in the post. They're top 10 in the league in terms of post touches. And you know what? We've had a lot of success with it. That's why we were 7-3 before yesterday in our last 10. He's had a pretty good stretch here where he has not been good, however. Going back to the game against where he had the 42 points, I can't remember who that was against off the top of my head. In that game, he was 5 for 10 from 3. In the interim between then, and I talk about this on every show I'm on, we acquired Vucevic because of his ability to shoot the 3 on high volume at 40% percentage. He was absolutely awful at it last year. He shot 31%. That's a massive decline. He's been better this year, but since that game, he's shooting 28% from 3. The Bulls are not going to win a title with Vucevic shooting below 37, 38% from 3. And in fairness to Acme, that's what they expected. You don't expect a guy to decline like that from the 3-point line. He still misses too many wide open threes. And until he's able to do that more consistently, we're not going anywhere. It's useless to talk about. That whole acquisition, I think that was number 1 or 2 on their list of what can we do to free up space for Zach. And DeMar is getting or any of the athletes on our team is getting a center who can pull out bigs. And until he does that more consistently, the Bulls aren't going to win anything that matters. We won't win a playoff series. You saw it last year. Why did we lose to the Bucks? The games we won, he hit the 3, he pulled out bigs. Even this year, every big game that we've had where we've beat a good team has included a big shot from Vucevic from 3 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but it also included him banging down low and the offense going through him as well. It also included a lot of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely true. But still, it's primarily to me where we optimize. It's the ball in DeRozan's hands. He's the only guy I trust a lot. He can handle the ball. He's the best facilitator. He's the best, most consistent source of offense. He gets to the free throw line. Zach, I love Zach, but I agree with you. Like, we should do more catch and shoot with Zach off ball. But when he handles the ball, he's a turnover machine in the fourth quarter.
He is.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him handling the ball. It's been that way.
He don't have the stones. He's too frazzled when it's late and he's got to hit a shot.
I will say though, I think just one guy would make this team significantly better at the 4. Just a guy like, and I bring up Jay Crowder. Everybody throws stuff at me. I saw a comment here from Nomad that he's been on 36 teams. Yeah, he's been on every team he's gone to. He's gotten better for the most part. That's why Miami wants him. Who else wants him right now? The Bucks want him. Good teams want him on the team because one thing, go Google hard fouls, Jay Crowder. When was the last time you saw a hard foul from a player on this team? I can't even recall one. He brings toughness. He brings the ability to shoot at an average level from the 3-point line. He brings defensive versatility. Jay Crowder's a winner. Now, I don't know where he's at right now physically. He's been out the whole year. Not a great sign, but a player of his ilk is badly needed on this team. A guy who can play the 4, the 3, and defend multiple positions would really make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think it will too. Hey, Fred, great stuff, buddy. We got to run. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
We'll get you on again. We'll get you on again soon, bro. No, that's all right, bro. I hate that thing called life.
Awesome seeing you. You guys do an awesome job,
dude. Yeah, I miss having you on. You're like, okay, school was in session. I like this.
Thank you. I wish I could tell that to my wife. She doesn't believe any of this thing I say. She's always like, "Oh, come on, you're always talking." I think it's. I think we're not that far away. People need to put the brakes a little bit on that. We should blow this team up. I'm not ready to do that. Are you? You want to pull this up?
No. There's some good pieces here. There's good
No.
pieces here. Yes.
I think the biggest
Absolutely.
thing is we need a healthy Lonzo Ball, but we also need another backup point guard who can facilitate. Because if we have a guy, a veteran guard who can facilitate and get us out on the fast break, that's huge. We talked about it, dude. Where were we with a healthy Lonzo Ball last year? Top of the East. All right. Now, I'm not saying we would have won a playoff. I'm not saying we would have won the NBA Finals by any stretch. But we're a much better team when we have a guy who can facilitate, who can get those outlet passes to Zach and DeMar and Kobe and those guys, get them out on the run. That's where we use our youth and our youthfulness and our energy, but we don't have that dude. So we get a guy like that who comes in, who can do what Lonzo does.
Mike Conley Jr. Let's go get Mike Conley. He's a poor man. He could do a lot of what I think ails us at the point guard position. Mike Conley should be available. Let's go get him.
Cool. All right, buddy. We'll talk later, man. We'll have you on.
Easy. Have a good one.
All right, but guys, that was our guy. Yeah, life gets in the way. That sucks. Life gets in the way sometimes. I get it. And he was able to come out for a little bit. Good stuff. And we agree, and I love it. We agree to disagree. I understand what Vooch was brought here to do. All right. I understand was that, his 3-point shooting, but things change. All right. Things change. All right. The only constant in this world is change. So you bring him in here for 3-point shooting. All right. But now you see with what you have, his best position would be in the post, in my opinion. All right. His best position would be in the post because it allows everyone to do everything else. You can bring DeMar off screens. You don't have to, you can get open shots for people. You can get people moving. Zach, you can get moving. Imagine Ayo coming off screens, getting a 3-point shot. Imagine DeMar. And you might not even want DeMar to be a catch and shoot guy, but get him off a screen so he gets the ball, he gets 2 dribbles, gets to his spot, and now he's got a wide open jumper. I'll tell you what, that would kill you more because he's a lot more efficient, foul line extended, than anyone in 3-point land. And I understand three is more than 2. But man, you hit more on a consistent basis. That mid-range jumper, you talk death by 1,000 paper cuts. All right, death by 1,000 paper cuts, and you set them free again. 2 dribbles, 16 feet, 18 feet, splash, come back down. Have him come off another screen. He gets the ball, takes 2 dribbles or 1 dribble. There's ways to do this. There's ways to do it, and why they're not doing it, I don't know. Is that fall on the players? Does it fall on Billy? But Stacey says it often, and I'm going to reiterate it till the cows come home. It's a simple game. It's a simple game. All right. Know your KYP. Know your personnel. Right, Stacey? KYP. Know your personnel. What works? Who do I have? What do they do well? What do they do not so well? Let's make them do what they do well more and stay away from what they don't do so well. All right. We got to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, there's some more sports conversations, so don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
Killed him. Oh, man.
Compound A, 46.7% by weight. Compound B.
Once you post your image online, you can't take it back. Anyone can see it. Family, friends, anyone. Remember, think before you post.
Io, this is what he was doing all first half, and he finds Vucevic.
Nice little.
Gamble by Wesley. White takes it in, off to Vucevic.
Oh, nice play. That was all set up by the.
Jones, the block again. 4 blocks officially all in this third quarter. Drummond is into the game. Vucevic went to the bench frustrated. Pirtle to the bench. Collins is in. There's Drummond.
Remember in the last game against Charlotte, nice cut.
Yep, backdoor to Levine. Io with the assist.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. Those clips courtesy of NBC Sports Chicago. We just got done with our guy Fred Pfeiffer from the Big Red Bus, also from ChicagoBullseye.com. And yeah, Cornelius, you're right. You're right. Okay, you're right. They don't set picks, and that's the issue. Like I can understand, especially if you're a 3-point shooting team. It's just in this NBA period, we understand the 3 is paramount now. And that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So adjust your game. It doesn't matter what kind of offense you run. I gave you tons of examples. Okay, tons of examples, and people. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Just because people know what's coming doesn't mean they can stop it. Okay? Doesn't mean they can stop it. You knew Karl Malone, you knew John Stockton and Karl Malone were going at it every time down the court. Didn't you? Didn't teams? And yet he still, for the longest time, was the second leading scorer in NBA history. So there needs to be variations. Okay, variations of that. Getting the Vooch the ball down the post. All right, because you could do it with DeMar. Get the ball to DeMar. All right, get the ball to DeMar. And 2-man game with Vooch. All right, now once DeMar passes Vooch the ball, have a guy come and set a screen for DeMar to clear him up, to free him up. Now, if Vooch has his man, fine. Take it to the cup. Nice little floater, good. Or give it right back to DeMar, 12, 15-footer. Okay, next time if they want to switch, now you have on the backside, now you got to pick on the backside. So someone cuts to the hole. There are a lot of different things you can do. Stacey says it. It's a simple game. It's a simple game. And I want to see more of that. And again, this is why I come down so hard on Billy. And I agree with our guy Fred when he said Billy's done a lot with his team. He has. Okay? But it doesn't mean he can't do more. It doesn't mean it's the best way. You understand? It doesn't mean that. Like, there's so many things I could do. Like, and I'm not even a basketball guy. All right? Football is my thing. I'm not even a basketball guy, but I can tell you, damn it, there's certain things, after having played for so long, all right, having coached basketball for so long, and yes, I coached basketball for a few years, 4 or 5 years. Okay? Having watched great basketball coaches where I was at Curie, state championship. Mike Oliver and Larry Wallace, guys over there. Big shout out to Larry Wallace and Mike Oliver over at Curie. At Bogan, okay, they had a squad over there as well. And just watching good coaches. Like, it's simple. There's simple things to do. Now you got to get the guys to do it. All right? I don't know. Nomad, this could be it. This could be a good one. Although I do think Vooch is a better passer than Artis, than the A-Train. I think the A-Train's a better inside scorer than Vooch. But Vooch is a better passer. We'll have to look into that, see, and holler at Artis' his agent, see what. But it's interesting. This Bulls team, they're not far, and they need to do something. They need to do something at the deadline. I don't want them to stand pat. I want them to get a point guard. I want them to get a legit point guard. No, not in my back pocket, in my hand. As I slap it, I just roll it up like this. Come on. Hey, man, I'm telling you, my teams were good, man. They were tough. They set screens. They rebounded. They played good fundamental basketball. I had one kid who was really good. Really good. I coached freshmen and saw the Frost-Off team at Flower High School for years. I had one kid, Carnell Friley. We're friends on Facebook to this day. Carnell Friley, man, he blew up, and he plays overseas. He's played all over, in Europe, in Dominican Republic. So I coached a professional basketball player. I think it's pretty cool. Cornelius, you in line, Papa. You heard us say it. That's what they need. That's what they need for this team. But here's the thing. It's going to be difficult. And if they're out there, are they even out there? You need a point guard, a floor general who can do the things that Lonzo Ball does. Like the one thing here's two things I need for the floor leader to do. Actually, three. One, facilitate. Okay. Two, actually a couple things. All right. Be very comfortable with an outlet pass. All right. Be very comfortable with an outlet pass. All right. Once you get it, you get a defensive rebound, look up, see who's up there, and you got to be a good outlet passer. Get out and run. We have the young guys. We have the athleticism. Got to play good defense, and you got to hit threes. I don't know how many of those type of guys are around or you can trade for, but shit, we have one in Lonzo. But that dude can't stay healthy. Well, let's take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we're going to switch topics. We're going to go a little Bears football, baby. I'm fired up. My man, Lauren Cox from the Lockdown Bears podcast. He's joining us. And, man, we're going to talk I love talking with this guy. Because we're going to go over what general manager Lauren Cox would do with this number one pick, who he likes in the draft. So we got some Bears talk coming up next. Keep it locked right here. My man Lauren Cox is joining us on Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
At a time when the news seems as subjective as the partisan politics dividing this country, independent professional journalism has become the resource people need to get the honest and accurate information for their lives. That's why I created JQuinnReports.com. As a born and raised Chicagoan, I know this city better than anyone. So my investigative stories are all original, and they'll go deeper to expose the truth by using information obtained from public information databases and in-depth interviews with the movers and shakers. My feature stories will introduce you to people and businesses who are changing the world, not just Chicago. My missing person stories will spotlight those who you don't hear about in the mainstream media, who are often overlooked. If you want to hear my personal views on things around the world, check out my blog site, which is based off of factual information and my life experiences. There's also past episodes of my weekly sports podcast show, What's Up Cuz, that I host with my real-life cousin, Lance Urban. So if you're looking for all this information and more, check out jcoinreports.com and follow me on Twitter at jcoin.
One of those, I assume, is still Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I know you had your own quarterback coach this year,
Yep.
but how much did you pay attention to what Justin was doing, and what did you think about his season?
No, I absolutely paid attention to him, and I was so proud of the way that he grew this year as a quarterback. A lot of credit to their coaches on what they did with him, the schemes that they put around him, and just the way that he took onto that. And you watch him, like, again, we were a big part of drafting him and getting him to Chicago, and we were all in with Justin, and unfortunately didn't get an opportunity to see where he could get to. But that's a part of this process. That's a part of the NFL.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago, the video courtesy of NBC Sports Chicago. That was old Bears head coach / play caller / don't even get me started, Matt Nagy. And yeah, it's part of the process. It's part of the process. And, here's a guy again. There are things that you need to do to put players in position to be successful. Okay. And great coaches do that. And not great coaches don't. Okay. Not great coaches tend to do things and believe their system trumps, no pun intended, any player. All right. They believe that their system is the end all be all. You follow my system. And as opposed to, okay, adjusting your system to the talent of your players. My next guest is a guy that I'm excited to talk to, man. We got tons of questions for him. He is the host of the Locked On Bears podcast. You can find him on Twitter at Cox Sports One, like Fox Sports One, but with a C. Guys, just welcome back to Shawn and Maya, our guy, Lauren Cox. Lauren, what's up, Papa? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I am wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We just saw Matt Nagy talking about the process, and later on in the interview, he talked about it's not that easy. Just because they're a stud in high school or a stud in college, it doesn't guarantee it's going to transfer to the NFL. It doesn't guarantee, and if it does transfer, it doesn't guarantee it's going to transfer to the NFL his first year. It could be his second year, or like Jalen Hurts his third. You don't know when it's going to transfer. And then he talked about later, it just ran out. They just ran out of time, and I agree with him. Your thoughts on Matt Nagy yesterday in actually that was from Monday at the opening night. Talk to me your thoughts on the presser, the interview that he did on his comments.
Yeah, he sounds to me like a guy who thought he would have more time in Chicago than he did. Like, I don't know that, I think when he and Ryan Pace drafted Justin Fields, I think they thought they would have more than one season to try and figure that out. And whether or not, when management and ownership decided to make that change, or when exactly they realized it was going to be their last season, I'm not sure. But I think the way he talks about how, we ran out of time and how he needs more time and how Justin was never going to, or, they couldn't expect Justin to be great right away his rookie season. Like, it sounded to me like they went into this with a 2 to 3 year plan for Justin. And that's how they handled it through the offseason, by not having him work with the starters, be purely a backup, and really play it slow with him, with the idea that, yeah, we're not going to rush through this. It's going to take him time, and we can kind of get him ready for the long-term future. And then you get a few weeks into the season, Andy Dalton gets hurt, and pretty soon after that, job security questions become very real, and all of a sudden you kind of have to abandon the long-term plan, go to the short-term, but because you were preparing for the long-term, he's not ready for the short-term. So you really didn't get the benefits of going with either approach. You kind of had to switch halfway through, and maybe that wasn't good foresight from Matt Nagy in the first place, but it does, I think, lend some better understanding of maybe why they did some of the things the way they did.
It does. And you know what? And I know a lot of people don't like him here in Chicago for his, and I'm one of them, his car salesman like persona.
Yeah.
All right. Just kind of like full of shit, and just, but I did appreciate and I gained a lot more respect for him for answering those questions. That was a tough question. All right. Those were tough questions about Justin Fields, about a place. And at one point he even said, I failed. All right. And you got to respect the man. You don't have to like him, but you got to respect the man who admits, hey, you know what? I didn't get the job done. All right. They brought me here for a reason, and I didn't get it done for whatever reason. It didn't get done. So I gain a lot more respect for him there. He seems more mature, all right, as a coach. So if he ever does get a head coaching position again, which I don't know if he will, but if he ever does, I just think he'll be a better head coach. I think he may delegate play calling as opposed to trying to do that. But you know what? That's water under the bridge. That's he's in the Super Bowl, and we're not. So let's talk about where we're at now. All right, our Bears. I'm excited. I know you're excited. Bears Nation is excited about this whole offseason, this whole scenario. Lauren, I've said it a million times. I hate mock drafts. They're the stupidest fucking things in the world, and I can't get enough of them. I keep looking at them and looking at them and looking at them and looking at them. Dude, I didn't go to bed till 1:30 last night looking at freaking mock drafts, bro. I shit you not. I was looking at mock drafts like, oh, no, this is dumb. Oh, I like this one. Oh, it's a possibility. Oh, I at one point I'm like, all right, dummy, go to sleep. You got to get up early. Stop looking at these dumb mock drafts. Talk to me about what you would like to see Ryan Poles do. First, let's go to free agency first. What would you like to see him do? And a couple factors. Some guys are, tag eligible, so they might not come available. But what would you like to see him? Give me your top two picks for free agency, because that's coming up March 13th through 15th for the Bears.
I will say, Shawn, if you start dreaming about mock drafts, you might want to get some professional help with that one. I think we'll draw the line there. You can
help already, dude.
But no, as far as free agency goes, I think we should brace for not having some of the main options that I think Bears fans get most excited about. Like when we were down in the Senior Bowl, I talked to some people from Washington, and it sounds like, for example, Daron Payne, not a guy that they're likely to let out of the building. And it's never say never, but they fully intend to keep him with the Commanders in some way, shape, or form. Because otherwise he might be number one on my list of like guys to go out and get as far as, long-term fit on this defensive line. But I'm tempering my own expectations for his potential availability. Same thing with somebody like Saquon Barkley. A lot of Giants folks think they're going to find some way to keep him in some way, shape, or form. It might be the franchise tag, but they don't want to let him out of the building. And unless something really breaks down in negotiations, he may not be available for the Bears either. So all of a sudden the group becomes thinner and thinner as you go along. But at the same time, you've got guys who might become available as cap casualties. Keenan Allen has been the hot name this week. I would love to see Keenan Allen in Chicago. Maybe he's not as young as you would ideally like in terms of a long-term piece here, but just get good players and figure it out later. I'm not going to turn down a guy because he's closer to 30 than he is to 25. And while he's really good, but he's maybe on the older side. Like we're not talking, 35-year-old mercenary free agents. These are still guys that are going to help you win football games the next couple of seasons. So I look at a guy like that, or certainly on the offensive line, Orlando Brown from Kansas City is obviously a familiar name for Ryan Poles, but I like Mike McGlinchey a lot from the 49ers as a right tackle that you plug in. He and Tevin Jenkins can kick some absolute ass on the right side of the line for the next 4 or 5 years together.
That's a side of nasty. That is one side of just complete, utter nasty. I hate the shit out of you, and I'm going to destroy you on the right side of the ball. Yeah. Dude, that just gave me goosebumps on my arms, dude. I didn't put those two together and think of the nastiness that they would have. Dude, that is insane. That would be nice. Daron Payne, yeah, he's my guy. You're hoping the fact that they still got to pay Sweat. They still have to pay the end from Ohio State. Chase Young.
Well,
they still got to pay him.
That's the dirty secret here, is that Chase Young won't be a Commander for more than another year or two. There's a lot brewing behind the scenes with Chase Young, and it's very, very messy in Washington. That's
wow. So
there's some breakdowns going on there.
So that
frees up Daron Payne. That's
it does.
That's the hidden thing here.
What about Hargrave, that kid from the young man from Philly?
Yeah, he is right at the top of there. I mean, I think honestly, he and Daron Payne are similar in ability in terms of just how good they are. The main difference is that Hargrave is about 30. So he's not going to be a 5-year guy for you, but you can get 2 to 3 good years from him. And to me, that's still worth it. I'll take that 100%, even if he's not here, 5 years from now as a super long-term piece. Just get good football players and we can replace him 3 years from now. Not a big deal.
Yeah. And it's easier to go from have to have again than not have to have. With him, because now you can make moves and you can say, okay, we'll take a flyer on this guy, or we can draft a guy that may fall for that maybe needs a little more work, maybe more of a project, because you have this guy here for 2 years, 3 years, who he can learn under, he can get acclimated with the NFL game, and so on and so forth. It's better that way than not having anybody and need to hit on this particular one. What about your other guy after you said Deron Payne? If he's available, who else would you like?
Yeah, certainly, like we mentioned Hargrave, he would be like number 2 immediately on the list next to a guy like Deron Payne if he's not there. I also keep an eye on Marcus Davenport from the New Orleans Saints, an edge rusher there. Just because, like you were just getting to, like, I don't want to go into this draft feeling like I have to take Will Anderson Jr. because I never got an edge rusher in free agency, or I have to take Jalen Carter because I never got an interior pass rusher. Like, put me in a position where I've got something at both spots, so that I have the flexibility to take either one. If I trade down to 4, and I know we'll get there. If we trade down to 4 and one of them's there, like, I want to be prepared for either one being available there. And I look at Davenport as a guy who, has never been like play every single down at 100% all season, but is just, no matter what, he has been a consistent pass rusher. His sack numbers have gone up and down, but his like pressures and the rate he's winning his pass rushes has been pretty consistent every season. And so to me, it's about how you build a defensive line with him as a key piece of that, and get other pass rushers, and he can really be a great sort of complementary piece in that mix. And you could still rotate in Travis Gibson and still rotate in Dominic Robinson and just keep all those guys fresh while still getting a guy who's been a consistent pass rusher despite the up and down sack numbers. And he happens to be a little bit down on the sack numbers this year, so the value should be a little bit better, but I'm not worried about the overall pass rush production there.
Guys, we're joined by Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast, talking Bears football right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. I was like, oh yeah, you did tell me to, because you said Mike McGlinchey and got me fired up. So you gave me 3. So in the draft now, what are you doing? What are you thinking, man? I'm doing the James Harden double trade back, triple trade back if we can. Because I think you can still get a haul from A, even if you do trade with Houston at number 2, you can still get a haul from Indy because they're going to want that pick. I don't think it's going to be as crazy. We've seen some possible or proposed offers for the number 1 pick. We've seen it wasn't crazy, but what would you like to do for the Bears to do? How would you like them to proceed in this draft? Give me your ideal situation.
Yeah, I'm a little scared scared's not the right word, but I'm wondering or concerned that I'm not as convinced that Houston is for sure going to take a quarterback. Like, they very well might, but I just wonder if they're not in love with Stroud or Young or Levis or whoever, and they feel like, they like Davis Mills quite a bit. It's still the same general manager. It's just DeMeco Ryans obviously as a defensive guy. Does he say, we got a good enough quarterback, let's build this defense up and let's get Will Anderson or Jalen Carter? And the GM who drafted Davis Mills is also like, yeah, we like Davis Mills. Is there a chance they're a team that takes one of the 2 guys? And then, of course, Arizona's not going to take a quarterback. I do get worried about losing the chance to get either Anderson or Carter, because I feel like there's a really big drop off from there. Like, it's those 2 guys in the quarterbacks, and then from there's another like 5 to 10 guys that are all in a similar range of talent there, to where like there's no advantage to be at 4 if Carter and Anderson are off of the board at that point. At that point, like, trade down even farther, get even more compensation from the Raiders at 7 or the Panthers at 9. I mean, so there have been rumors floating out about Tennessee at 11 trying to make the jump up there, because Houston also picks again at 12 and could feel like, well, one of our quarterbacks might still be there at that spot. We don't need to take one at 2. We don't even need to trade up to 1. So that's what concerns me about a potential trade down. But the ideal scenario to me is either 2 to 4 or just straight to 4. 2 quarterbacks go in the top 4, and you get either Carter or Anderson, and you feel really good. Like, either one of those guys you can be happy with.
Okay. I'm in my ideal. I like the double, the triple. I think Houston, because you can hype it up and you can, you could talk about it and say, hey, listen, they're looking at, first of all, you got to find out who Houston likes.
Yeah.
All right. Who they like if they're taking a quarterback, because they're going to need one. They need, when you have that high draft position, I would surely think that you're going to get a quarterback, especially when you have a couple of good ones. I don't think any great ones, but I think we got some really good quarterbacks coming out. So I'd say 1 to 2, 2 to 4. And if we had to go down, and if 7, 8, or 9, all right, because that's Atlanta, that's Carolina's at 9, and Vegas is at 7. Obviously, we have to see where Rodgers goes and some of and David Carr go and all those other, but nonetheless, I still think I'm okay with not getting Jalen Carter or Will Anderson for here, like Tyree Wilson. I'm a big fan of his from Texas Tech. Miles Murphy, big fan of his from Clemson. So I think there's a couple guys, like if you don't get the game changer, or projected, generational talent, what if we just get great players that aren't generational talent, but we get a couple of great players? I think that could help us. And also, we need players that fit the system as well. We need, just because Will Anderson could be a generational player, does he fit the system? I'm sure they're looking at it, but I would love to do that. I'd love to get the free agency thing. Like you said, I think it's smart to get one at each position, so you have a rotation, so we can come at you in waves and really be a force. Maybe make the playoffs this year. I don't know about winning the North, but be up there, I should say, and then really in 24 and 25 really go crazy.
I did hear from one scout down at the Senior Bowl, which is not going to be a consensus opinion, but there was one scout who had Tyree Wilson above Will Anderson. Said I like him better, and which was a little bit unheard of and shocking to me. I haven't heard that from a lot of people out there. So there are some different opinions around the NFL on exactly how blue chip these true top talents actually are. But I agree with you that like. I'm not necessarily that I have to have Carter Anderson, but if I'm not going to get Carter Anderson, then let me get as much as possible in a trade down and move even a little bit farther down. Because I think, the guy you get at 7 probably isn't that much better than the guy you could get at, say, 11, right? So but the farther you move down, the more trade compensation you're going to get. So if I'm okay feeling like, okay, I didn't get Carter Anderson because this Bears team needs
a lot
more than just one good player. That's why you don't stay at 1. If you just felt like Carter Anderson was all you needed, you stay at 1, you take them and you're really happy. But you move down because you need more draft picks and more really good players, even if you're not going to get a guy as good as Carter or maybe not as good as Anderson later on in that draft. But again, the difference between the talent that's still going to be there after those guys, it becomes a deeper group there where I can get a really good offensive tackle, still really good edge rushers, maybe even a wide receiver starts to get into that range a little bit more there and feel like there's not one guy I got to have once I get past that group. So I'll go as far down as I can while still staying relatively high and get as many draft picks and maybe a wide receiver or something from these other teams in that trade down process.
Yeah, I think that's, I assume that's what Ryan Poles is going to do. You look at it and he had, he had 11 draft picks he ended up having when it was all said and done just by trading back. And I think it's, I'm anxious to see, just like most of us, what he's going to do with draft capital. Is he still going to trade back? Because it is a deeper class in a deeper group for DN or for edge rusher. So you could drop back, maybe get a 3 tech in free agency. So now you don't really have to need to get one, and you draft down, get some more draft picks, and get some, depending on how far you trade back, get a nice edge rusher, down at 4, down at 7, 8, or 9, depending. I'm looking forward to seeing how he multiplies it, if he does multiply the draft picks, and then who he takes, because because of all the holes we need. Who would you like offensive line wise, or where do you think we should attack first offensive line wise?
Certainly free agency is going to shape some of that. Do they cut Cody Whitehair? Do they keep him? Do they sign a true right tackle, or do they still kind of have this loose competition with Larry Borum, or, maybe even move Braxton Jones? Not that I would want to, but it's a possibility there. And I still think tackle is a place that you're going to want to upgrade in some way, shape, or form. And I'd like to see a center at some point as well, like a true long-term center of the future. So it depends on if you have a big hole at left guard as well, but there is a lot of tackle talent in particular in this draft to like in that, late first, early second round range. Guy like Darnell Wright from Tennessee, who was down at the Senior Bowl, is a big bodied right tackle.
I heard his stock went up big time.
He might play his way into that first round. That's above where the Bears trade down and add an early second round pick. Then you can't quite reach those early first round guys, but he's, 6'5", 345 pounds, just a massive human being who's but he's not super slow. He's not fast, but he's not super slow either. And he would be a fun guy to watch, get some opportunities there. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I love Joe Tippmann, the center from Wisconsin, as a potential second or third round pick. Going to be a limited ceiling there. He's not an elite athlete at the position, but just steady, solid, consistent center. You know, you can plug him in. He can be a week 1 starter. He can be a starter for 10 years. Maybe never a Pro Bowl guy, but just a guy that always has that consistent technique, and you know what you're going to get week in and week out, but it's not going to just wow you, as a center off the board. So I think there's some real opportunity here to add offensive line talent, and that's something that we saw Ryan Poles have a propensity to do last year. And I think, they view a lot of their guys as like guys that they can start. You can start Braxton Jones this year and feel okay. You can start Lucas Patrick this year and feel okay. But they're also guys that you can upgrade from. And I don't think those are guys that are going to stop them from taking upgrades if they're there, but they're not going to force them to feel like they have to get a new left tackle or they have to get a center, but they could if they want to.
Yeah, I talk about. He's losing my. I'm trying to figure out as you were talking. Who's the center from Minnesota? Was it Minnesota?
Michael Schmitz.
Yes, that dude has gotten a lot of hype, a lot of pub. His draft stock. What was his name again?
John Michael Schmitz Jr.
John Michael Schmitz. Isn't that John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmitz? No, never mind.
Pretty close. Yes, his name was my name too.
I would like him. I like Skoronski. I like there's a couple of different offensive tackles I like, but here's my thought. What do you think of? And here, I said it. I'm going to preempt it with everything I say, and whoever I want. Always bring in competition. Always. So with that being said, how much do you like? Are you looking forward to Leatherwood? Right. This dude didn't get a fair shake because he had, and not because of the team. He got mono, lost 20, 25 pounds, lost strength, and then he in the middle of season, you can't regain that strength in the middle of the season, so he lost explosion, lost quickness. You're not the Outland Trophy Award winner at Alabama if you're not talented. So I would love to see him in the offseason with a complete offseason of get him back full strength, get him back full speed, full quickness, full explosion, and then see what we have. Again, bring in more talent. Don't get me wrong, but now you got to fight, because I think I've watched him on run blocks. He looks good getting from double teaming, get to the second level. His biggest issue was the speed. He couldn't deal with the speed. Braxton Jones couldn't deal with the power. He couldn't deal with the speed. All right, but those things are things that I feel that can be worked on in the offseason. Give me your thoughts on Alex Leatherwood, because I'm a big Leatherwood fan. And I hope he pans out, because, man, you just don't get Outland Award trophy winners every day.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy to develop, and that you're glad that they took a chance on, and that is sticking around, and that you want to see that all come together. I find myself feeling like, especially this offseason, with all the cap space and all the draft capital they're going to have, I don't want to enter OTAs or training camp with any of the starting lineups as a competition. Like, yes, you can have, always people are always competing, but I want to know who my starters are, specifically on the offensive line, right away. Like, I don't want there to be the rotation of figuring out, like, okay, which of these two guys is going to win out to be that starter. Like, certainly have competition as the backups, have as much talent as you can there, and develop him along the way. But I don't want to be like, okay, it's Larry Borum versus Alex Leatherwood at right tackle, and let's see if one of them can be a starter. Like, let's get solidified 5 good starters for Justin Fields. It's too important to be messing around with, well, it's who's going to compete and really be that true starter there. Love having competitions for, backups and guys that are maybe going to be like, at like running back, for example, like who's going to be the number 2 guys that are going to have roles, but are not like your starter. You're competing for like number 3 cornerback. You're competing for number 3 edge rusher. Who's going to get more snaps in those rotations? But like, I don't want rotations on the offensive line. I want 5 really solid starters across the board. And it doesn't feel like there's any good excuse this offseason because, there's not enough money or not enough draft picks. Like, this is the year to get that offensive line right for Justin Fields, because it's so important to his success and his development.
That's interesting. Okay. I can follow it. I could definitely go along with that and give them, say, hey, listen, these guys are the starters. Boom. Now, if you want to beat them out, not saying that you're etched in stone. Yes. They can still be beat out. But this is what we're going with. So if you don't like the fact that you're your second team, then you better show out in OTAs and definitely show out in camp. Okay, I could see that. And it gives Justin and gives these guys an accurate assessment of where you're at. All right. Yeah. So if you know that you're not starting, then you're going to bust your, like, if you have a competition, like, okay, good, I can compete. But if you know that you're already behind the 8 ball, how much harder are you going to try? How much more focused are you going to be to try and get to that starting spot. So I can see that. I can go with that. Okay. Guys, we're joined by Lauren Cox, the host of the Locked On Bears podcast, talking Bears football right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. You mentioned the position, and let's talk about it. Running back, what do you do?
It depends on David Montgomery's price tag, because like if he legitimately wants the $12 million number that I think's been floated out there, that's a little much for me. Just because the salary cap space does go fast. I mean, as much as 98 million or whatever the new number is a lot, and there's a lot you can do with that, and you have some flexibility. I'm a big believer in Khalil Herbert as a runner with some very clear limitations as a receiver and a blocker. But I feel like, go get a running back then that can be a good receiver and a blocker and pair those two. Like I'm not sure how much more David Montgomery does than Khalil Herbert. They're different styles of runners for sure. And I do like having that balance, but how important is that for the team? If I could instead go out and get you don't love some of the other free agent running back options, but guys like Jerick McKinnon or Devin Singletary are guys that have a little bit more juice as a receiver that are not going to be every down lead backs, because that's what Khalil Herbert's there for, right? He can be your guy on first and second down. You're handing it off to him. And then on third downs, you take him out and you put in this guy that can still run the ball, but is also just more effective as a receiver and a blocker than Herbert. I feel good enough about that as a backfield. I can save the $12 million that I might have to spend on David Montgomery and put that more in another edge rusher, another defensive tackle, another linebacker, another cornerback in that rotation. I mean, there are so many needs on this roster that I feel like with Justin Fields being such a big part of your running game anyway, I don't need to invest a ton at running back as much as I really like David Montgomery as a player and would absolutely take him back at $6 or $8 million, just maybe not the full 12.
Well, those numbers have been floating out, and you heard, I don't know if you saw his tweet, then, he thought it was funny. He said the shit people come pull out of their ass. And because someone in the article, but it was by Bleacher Nation, it said, I think it said 12 million, and they said there's someone close to the or whatever. And he retweeted and next time you talk to David Montgomery, let me know,
Yeah.
So basically, I think, and I looked up his market value could be around 8. I could bring him back at $6, $7, $8 million a year.
I agree.
And I think, because I think you have guys, I love Khalil Herbert. I love Treston Ebner, but he got leapfrogged by Darius and Evans, which is fine. Again, competition, because those two guys have home run speed. But also, I was also thinking maybe draft Chase Brown, the kid from Illinois, later, because that dude he's got purse snatching speed. So, and great runner, great. So there's still a lot of different things. But I personally, I like David Montgomery. I'd like to get him back at $7 or $8 million a year, and then keep it moving. I think it's the continuity. I think and not that running back you need the continuity because you adjust quickly, but I just think for that locker room for, I'd say 3 for 24, 4 for 30, give or take, 4 for 30, 4 for 32. Give him 15 million guaranteed, 20 guaranteed. This way you front load it, 3 or 4 years. I think that's good. I think that'll be good. I think that'll be good. Hey, Lauren. Great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it as always, dude. But do me a favor, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me on. You can follow me on Twitter at CoxSports1. You can hear us 5 days a week on the Locked On Bears podcast, wherever you get podcasts, and on YouTube as well.
Dude, great stuff, man. How was Mobile?
I got some sunburn. You can still see the tail end of it on my face. It's red here. It was rough, but the barbecue was incredible, and we drank the bar out of Bud Lights one night, so it was a good time.
It was a good time. That's awesome. Hey, good stuff, buddy. We'll talk soon, man. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All righty. Guys, that's Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast, talking Bears football with us right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. Man, the options are endless. I really love it. I love this nonsense of us playing GMs, of us with the mock trades. I mean, the mock drafts. I love with the free agency. Thoughts and just hypotheticals. I think it's great. Yeah, Bud Lights. Do you realize Illinois, and I know this because my cousin used to work for Miller. Okay. No, he used to work with Bud, not Miller, Bud. That the entire country is pretty much a Bud Light Like all the major markets are more Bud Light than Miller Lite, except Chicago. Chicago is a big Miller Lite town. He was telling me, yeah. Almost other places, Bud Light is it. It runs it. But Miller Lite in Chicagoland area, yeah. You know, Old Style. You know, a funny story with Old Style. So I was in college. So first of all, my uncles used to drink it. Right? I had quite a couple uncles who loved to imbibe. Let's just put it that way. You got my Mexican uncles; they love their Old Style. Okay. So I'll never forget. I was in college, and my uncle John, he wasn't a drinker. He would fly me out from college, from Worcester, Massachusetts, to Vegas for the first 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, we go to LA, where his wife's family was from, whatever. So we're in LA. This is my freshman year. We're in LA, and his son, my cousin Stefan, a couple years older. So I'm like, 19? Steph's like 23, 24. He's like, oh, we're going to go to this park, and we're going to hoop. I'm like, all right, cool. So we go to this park, and we start hooping. He goes, oh, we're going to get some barbecue. We're going to have we're going to grill out. I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to get some out of cheddar and this and this. So it's really funny. The guys go and they get a couple pounds of out of cheddar, and they didn't get any seasoning. And it was hilarious. They're yelling, you didn't get any seasoning, any adobo, any this, any seasoning, these seasoning salt. Like, oh, I'm sorry, bro, I forgot. It's like, no worry about it. So they seasoned it with Old Style beer. They just put the strips of the out of cheddar, the skirt steak, and they just poured beer on it. Dude, it was hilarious. It tasted pretty good. But whenever anyone says Old Style, that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I'm in LA. And I was thinking of White Man Can't Jump, which is really cool, but it wasn't funny. It wasn't that whole deal, but it was really, really cool. The tecate was your uncle's favorite? Yeah. Marinate with some onions. Yeah. So out of cheddar does seem nice, right? About some tacos out of cheddar, and they had the corn tortillas. Just took it up, put it right there in the tortilla. They had the salsa, so they put some salsa on there. Oh, it was delicious. But my days when I was out in LA, when I was in college, crazy times. No matter, you put that beep on everything. Oh man. You know what? Give me more. Give me more Bear stuff. Give me more Bears talk. Give me more. This is an exciting time for us. And you know what? We talked about. Remember I talked about living in the moment this year with the Bears. Like, don't worry about last week. Don't worry about next week. Just worry about the game that we have this week. Remember that? Okay. Let's enjoy this time now. Okay. Because if done properly, we're not going to have this situation again. Hopefully we don't have this situation again where we get the number one pick. Okay. Unless we trade with somebody for whatever reason. All right. And they have an extremely bad year, whatever. Enjoy this time. Okay. Look at as many stupid, insignificant, and meaningless mock drafts. Make your own mock drafts if you want. Come up with the endless free agent signings that are going to affect your draft. Let's do it. Let's enjoy it. All right. That's the fun part about being a fan. It's boring. It's pointless. You know, it's like being in a rocking chair. You're doing something, but you ain't really moving. They're active, but you're not accomplishing anything. You know what? So I don't have a hot sauce. Give me pico de gallo. Give me some. Have you ever been to? Do they have Nandu Peri Peri down there by you? Ciordi, do they have Nandu Peri Peri? I think it's a Brazilian chicken place. So if they do, I'll get the medium sauce. Okay. I actually have it in the fridge. They sell it, and I will put that. I never heard of it. Okay, it's a chicken place, so it's not down there. So it's a Brazilian place, and they have different sauces. And the medium is a little. I can go with a little kick. All right, I can go with a little kick. I don't know. I don't do the hot sauces, but per se, like the Nandu peri peri medium flame is good. Medium spice is good. Give me a pico de gallo or a chile that is no muy picosa. I don't like really, really hot. No. So there's nothing per se. Yeah. Tabasco or go kick rocks. I'm kicking rocks then, Papa. I'm kicking rocks because no Tabasco for me. You know why? It smelled when before I was used to eat, and it's only been like the last 15, maybe 20 years that I really started eating spice. Because, okay, funny story. This is why I have to write a book. You're like, how can you be Mexican, half Mexican, live with the Mexican side of your family, and not eat hot stuff? I've had this conversation, and I've told this story ad nauseum, but I'll tell it again. So as a kid, all right, my grandmother would make her own chile, her own salsa, as you call it. All right, she would chop up the peppers or cut up the peppers and the tomatoes and everything, throw it in the blender, and you smell it. Smell it, mijo, and I smell it. Burn, it just singed my non-existent nose hairs. If I had any, it would have singed them. I was like, okay. So I was, it was in third grade, 4th to 5th grade, and I had to I had chores, right? Clean up my room, and I had to throw out the garbage. Okay, but we lived on the second floor. We had a 2 flat, and I was a little scared at times because it's dark. And so what I would do is I would take the garbage bags down to the back door and just leave them inside the back door. And then I'd come the next day and throw them out after school. Just the light out, no problem. But if it was dark, because I would procrastinate. Throw out the garbage. Mijo, I said throw out the garbage. So I was just a kid. So one time, so you could see all the way down. And if you're from Chicago and you have the 2 flats, you can see all the way down basically to the basement stairs. Just go down the middle, look down the middle. So my mistake was I left the bag toward the middle where you could see it. So my grandmother looked. It's like, okay, Governor, I got you. So I'm sitting there watching TV in the living in the kitchen, and my grandma's making her chile and her salsa. All right, she's making a homemade chile, and I didn't think anything of it. She made it a million times. She comes behind me. All right, I'm watching TV, grabbed my nose, tilts my head back with a big ass spoonful of her chile that he had just made. Like it's permeating in the kitchen. Shoves it down my throat. Man, I literally could have, out of a cartoon, could have been, and fire would have shot out of my mouth. Remember Eddie? I'm a blowtorch. Flame shoot out my flame would shoot out of my mouth. They would definitely shoot out of my mouth. She's like, don't you ever lie to me again. Go down there and throw out that goddamn garbage. Man, I ran down those stairs. We had a 2x4 across the back door on the inside. Took the 2x4 off, sprinted. Now, it was a Chicago lot, so the yard was, I don't know, what, 15 feet, 20 feet, 20 by 20, whatever. And then the garage, man, I ran threw that stuff in the garbage can, ran back upstairs to get something to drink. So because of that, I was scarred. I never liked spicy stuff until about 10, 15 years ago. So that's why I don't do Tabasco sauce. And then back then when I was growing up, people would use Tabasco sauce and hot sauce, and the smell of it was like, ugh, it turned me off. So it actually might be good. I may like it now, but in that time where I didn't like it, that smell, talk about the power of the human brain, it was crazy. So yeah, that's why I never got into it. But once I started getting into some, eating some spicy stuff and things like that, and then I found the stuff from Nandu Peri Peri, their sauces. Oh man, medium's good. Like, don't give me a hot. I can't do hot very well. So yeah, that ruined my sauce for me, boss. No, kept keeping it real, keeping it a buck with you. That ruined my sauce. So I'm back on it. But give me pico de gallo, give me something with a little kick, and I'm good. So no specifics. And let's take a quick break and let's wrap this baby up. All right. This hump day edition. And I'm excited for tomorrow. The trade deadline for the Bulls. More Bear stories. More from down from Arizona. Just get drunk. You'll eat any damn thing. You know what? I miss. You miss the good old days where when you were younger and you could eat anything because your metabolism was high. And what we used to do, and we'll go to break after this. So as kids in high school, and my metabolism, that's when it's highest, but I was an athlete, of course, and metabolism was crazy. We used to have a contest, me and my guys, and we would it was from Burger King. So we would go and the more you eat, it was called, I think it was called Ali, for Muhammad Ali. And then we tear it down from there. So it was a double Whopper. It was a double Whopper with cheese, chicken sandwich, I think fries or onion rings, and a drink. That was, if you ate that was the Ali, and then there was a Tyson below that and whatever. And we would do that. But when we'd come home, the burritos, man, we would stop. I can't even tell you how many times we'd go to the different burrito spots. We'd go to El Gallo de Oro on 63rd and Sacramento. And I would never get the chile. I would just get rice, beans, cheese, and sour cream in there. Can't tell you how many fights we had, or seen in there, that spilled out. Crazy. But yeah, those were the days when you were younger. You're messed up. You come home from college. You're in high school. You come home from college, and the burrito joints, then Maravillas. Good stuff. Let's take a quick break because I'm starting to get I'm getting myself hungry. I'm gonna have to get something to eat as soon as we get off the show. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. More sports conversation right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
The Earth is 70% water. And 30% land. But the entire sky belongs to us.
Everybody in a work zone is someone somebody.
This is my mom. She works for KDOT.
This is my dad.
This is my mom.
This is my daddy.
This is my sister.
This is my daddy.
This is my son, Scott. He was killed while working in a highway work zone. When you drive through a work zone, drive like a life depends on it. Because it does.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver. And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Saw the way that they used him this year.
Yeah.
I mean, were there any regrets there at all that there wasn't more of that in your offense?
Well, I'll say this, and I mean, again, you have a plan when you go into this, and again, Ryan Pace, myself, and everybody in our organization, we were all in on drafting Justin, and we all were committed to him, and we had a plan, and obviously it didn't work out for us, but we also had a plan on how to develop him and how to see him grow and, to work to his strengths. And it's hard to do that right away in months and summers and in 1 year. In fairness to every quarterback that's in this league, it is hard to do what you think they're going to be in 1 year. It's hard. I don't care what anybody says. Guys need time to develop.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. That clip courtesy of NBC Sports Chicago. That was former Bears head coach Matt Nagy talking about Justin Fields, talking about that whole situation. In dealing with that, like you had something that happened at Minnesota. Made a good move yesterday. They hired Brian Flores. Okay, remember he was the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins. He was fired. He didn't lose enough games. He alleged that the owner offered him $100,000 per loss. After an investigation, they found that they were in violation of tampering, which is why Miami lost their first round pick this season. So there's actually only 31 picks in this round, in the first round this year, because Miami lost it. He's suing the NFL. But he was on Steelers. He's of Venezuelan descent. He was on the Steelers coaching staff last year, and now he's going back to being a defensive coordinator for the Vikings. And that's not good news for the Bears. That's not good news for the Central. This guy is really good at what he does, and it's going to be tough seeing them if they can get their defense together. I think they have a good offense, and I think Kirk Cousins might be the Achilles heel in that whole situation, because Kirk Cousins is going to Kirk Cousins himself. But I'm happy for him to get another position, defensive coordinator position, and those likely springboard you to another head coaching opportunity. So congratulations to him, but that sucks as a Bear fan. Speaking of the Bears, one thing that just popped up. You're probably saying, what the hell does this have to do with the Bears? Well, I'm glad you asked. Andrew McKenna passed away yesterday. He was 92, did they say? 93. I'm not at 93. And you're probably asking, well, who is this guy? Well, again, I'm glad you asked. He was one of the minority owners of the Bears. And he also was in a situation where he and his I'm trying to think of the other here's the other who the other his partner was. They own 20% of the Bears. Excuse me. This is interesting. Now, how does this go? Because they were asked, and I remember David Kaplan had mentioned on one of his shows, since they have the first right of refusal, they were asked if the Bears were put up for sale, if they'd buy it, and they said unequivocally. So now that he's gone, his partner, who I'm still trying to find his name, how is that going to work? Is this something that Pat Ryan, there you go. Pat Ryan and McKenna, they own 19.7% of the Bears. So now where does his stake in the Bears, where do they go? Do they go to his wife? Do they go to his kids? Very interesting. But our thoughts and prayers go out to the McKenna family. But that's what happened yesterday on the Bears front office front. Andrew McKenna, one of their minority owners, just passed away. So that could throw a monkey wrench in. I'm sure he was part of the McDonald's Foundation. He's a very distinguished businessman. So I'm sure he had a will. I'm sure they had all this thought out. He just gotten ill recently. So just a thought, just a thought, and my concern, not concern, my just curiosity, wants to know where his, I don't know how much he of that 19% he owns, if it's 50-50 or what, but how much, what are they going to do with it? All right. And how do the Bears proceed from there? So pretty interesting stuff. Again, our thoughts and prayers go out to his family on the loss of Andrew McKenna, one of the Bears' minority owners, and who would have bought the Bears if they were up for sale. So, yeah. So what the thing, Ciordi, what they talked about, they said they would have bought it, and because the kids, which, think about it, I don't get how no one from the Hallis, because I think they got run off by the McCaskies, but none of them are involved in football. None of them. Like the Rooneys still run the Steelers. All right. You still have Lombardi's all in and around football. You don't have one Hallis, one McCaskey, who is an executive, except ours because it's their business, who's a scout, who's a coach, nowhere else in the NFL. Not one. Not one. If you look up it's Shorty. Okay. My bad. I will thank you for addressing that. I appreciate it. If you look up how the McCaskies got full control of the Bears, it's a dirty deeds are done dirt cheap, man. It's crazy. Look it up. Why no Hallis is why the McCaskies running the Bears and not a Hallis? So look it up, check it out, and you'll be surprised. Hey, listen, Shorty. I was the first grade spelling bee champion, so pronunciation is key for me. All right. No, they don't know. They don't know anything about football, Nomad. But that's the thing. The founder, the founding father of the NFL, you would think somebody from the family would go into that business. You would think. But again, this isn't his. This is a McCaskey. So this is his daughter's, husband's kids, basically. They don't have the last name. They don't have. Ah. Sì, parlo italiano un po'. Italian. Shortino. Okay. Okay. And yes, no matter, I am Einstein. First grade spelling bee champion. Do not mess with me. Do not. So, but I highly suggest you go and you check it out. Junior knows. Junior turned me on to it. All right, about the McCaskies and the Hallises and why there's no Hallises running the Bears, part of it. So, pretty interesting. But man, listen, 3 hours is coming and gone. Man, what a great show. I want to thank our guests, our guy Fred Pfeiffer coming out talking Bulls with us. I want to thank our guy Lauren Cox for coming out talking Bears with us. Made it a great show, and I want to thank you guys. It was great having Maya on today. Life gets in the way sometimes, man, and it's we just deal, we improvise, we overcome, we adapt, we just get through it. And I want to thank you guys. This is a great show. You guys are up and down the chat right here, my man. Junior, Nomad, Shortino. I got it. Who else? I said Nomad. Mr. Sophisticated Thoughts. He's in there. My man Jason watching. We have Mr. Smokefella Ben, Bernard in there for a while. Man, thank you guys. My man Luis Mejia was in the house for a while this morning. I think he said 30,000 feet. Is he coming from an airplane? Where you going, Papa? You going back to the island somewhere? If you are, I'm jealous. Cornelius, Squalls in the house. So I want to thank you guys. Made this show awesome with your participation, your questions, your comments, smart ass remarks. I love it. And that's what makes the show the number one show, the best show in the Chicagoland area. So I want to thank my guy Steve, keeping everything running smoothly here. So for Steve, for our executive producer Elliot Baez, for our social media guy Clarence Council III, my co-host Maya, I'm your boy the Superback Shawn Sierra. So we're going to take a 45-hour break. On the other side of the break, we're going to have a lot more Super Bowl talk on Friday. I'm looking forward to. It's a big game. This is a game we all waited. We've waited for, and hopefully, and I don't know if you do it like I do, but I look at it and I say, okay, this is where I plan on the Bears being in a couple of years, with what they're doing with the draft picks, with the quarterback, and just kind of imagining 3 or 4 years from now with the Bears, we're getting ready for the Bears Super Bowl down in wherever the heck they have it at, and would be there. So again, thank you for your participation. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. And no, man, you're the 4th grade spelling bee champion. I love it. I love it. And no, man, I heard, I was just reading the text that you had a situation with your family. I'll keep your family in my thoughts and prayers, my friend. I didn't know what it was, but I just could tell by what was going on, and people were giving condolences. So my thoughts and prayers to you, and hope things, you get peace at this time of whatever you're going through. All right. You're my prayers, man. All right. So I am excited. I am hungry. I am starving like Marvin. So I'm about to get out of here because your boy is starving. All right. I got to get out of here. We'll see you on Friday. Same bad time, same bad channel, 9 a.m. to noon Central Standard Time. So for Steve, Elliot, Clarence, Maya, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra. Hey, listen, it's going to be nice out. It wasn't warm this morning. It was cold when I went to go get my paper. It was frost on the lawns and everything. But it's going to be this whole weekend's going to the rest of the week, and the weekend's going to be nice. Enjoy it. You get 40s and 50s in February in Chicago. We are lucky and we are blessed. All right. Enjoy it. Get out there, spend time with your family and friends. Get out there, enjoy this wonderful weather. We'll see you on Friday, folks. 2 more words for you. I'm out.